I can't hear you, but I didn't have my mic on. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, but I didn't have my mic on. I can't hear you.
To the mothers who rise with the sun each day, with hearts full of love, come what may, through sleepless nights and moments so long, you carry the world steady and strong. To the hands that soothe, to the voices that care, to the endless patience only mothers can bear, in the quiet of chaos you stand so tall, a guiding light, the heart of it all. Through every challenge, you lead with grace, finding joy in every embrace. With wisdom deep and love so wide, you nurture, protect, and stand by our side. This summit's for you, to honour your way, to celebrate your strength every single day. For in your courage, we all find our part, a mother's love, the world's beating heart. So thank you for all that you give and you do, for the beauty of life that flows through you. In every story, in every tear, know that your presence is always cherished here.
Hi, I'm Shikha Khanna from India. I'm a portrait photographer and I'm so happy the summit is happening, and here is a little thing that I can contribute. My work around self-portraits with mothers, and a book that is called 100 Self-Portrait, 100 Dreams of Mothers Who Dare to Express is a book that I created where I interviewed 100 inspiring mothers' stories across the world in 100 days in 2022 and brought them to India. 40 of them came to India to just tell their stories. And we celebrated for 3 days and gave each other the support they needed to tell their stories their way, not the way the world wants to hear. And hence I'm here with a little message that in my understanding, the biggest hindrance that comes to a mother is her self-image issue. To be able to resolve that, to be able to find the support, to be able to stand up and be in her authentic self and hence raise children is one of the biggest journeys a mother can take. And I do that through self-portraits because the visual completion that I find when I see myself and my people who I work with in self-portrait just gives a little power to us to show up fully, authentically, just the way we are, whichever stage we are in, and accept ourselves fully. So I think the biggest resolving I've done in order to contribute in my children's life is to resolve my own negative chatter around who I am, how I look, and bring myself out from this place of loss to a place of empowerment for myself, and through that my children see that I do that for others as well now, and hence that gives them more power to see a mother coming back, dreaming, creating her dreams, rising, falling, taking the journey, and that gives them a great confidence in order to move forward. So as a mother, the biggest resolving that I've done is to contribute to my children's life by contributing to my self-image issues, my negative chatter, and rising in my own light. Thank you.
Welcome back to day 2 of our beautiful Mum Summit, Mothers United Moment with Awæcnian Academy. And I'm your host, Marie, and this is the beautiful Flea. Flea, we had such a beautiful day yesterday. What were some of your, I suppose, highlights from yesterday's summit, day 1?
I think it's really just the various ways that we all kind of think the same and feel the same. Like it's a deeper connection of knowing that we're really not alone, that these feelings, these emotions that we go through, even some of the circumstances, like nothing is exactly the same, but they are at the same time. So that polarity and duality that we love so much just gets to be shown through each person. Every single person brings a new layer and a new, oh, that's another way you can feel that emotion. That's another way that that can show up for you in your life. And it's really interesting the different ways that we heal from different types of trauma.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful to just have so many beautiful women from around the world join us to share their story, to share these insights, as you were saying. And we have another beautiful woman joining us this morning for our opening keynote, beautiful Magda Summer, and she's going to be talking about reclaiming your energy, simple solutions for stress, fatigue, and better sleep. And it's so beautiful because we ended our panel last night on looking at reclaiming our energy. And I'm so glad we get to dive deeper into some more strategies. And Magda is a board certified functional medicine nutrition coach, renowned for her unique holistic approach to health and wellness. With a deep expertise in nutrition and human physiology, she empowers her clients to reverse chronic disease by addressing the root cause. Magda's method integrates the body, mind, and spirit, helping clients rediscover vitality, joy, and energy in their lives. Her passion for ultimate health transformations is driven by her dedication to adding years to your life and a life to your years, guiding you to vibrant well-being. I am so excited because we all want to just feel like the same age forever and build our expertise. Welcome, Magda. How are you?
Thank you much. So from great, introduction. Thank you so much, ladies. You are all beautiful, and I am so happy to be with you all here. And it's 7 p.m. right here. And years ago, I couldn't do this at that time because I didn't have any energy. So please, if you're watching us live, please tell me from where you're coming from all over the world. This is really very important. So please put it in the chat where you're coming from. Because if it's a morning in your place, I want to know if you wake up refreshed, and if it's the evening in your place of the world, like in mine, how you feel right now? Are you ready to go to bed? Are you sitting on the couch watching Netflix? They have no energy for anything. Put it in the chat. I wanna know. Yes. So I promise you, today you will sleep like a baby. We all hear moms. Some of you have younger children, some of you have older children, some of your children are grown up, some of the teenagers. And you are stressed, you are depressed, and you cannot sleep because you give it all to them. There is nothing left. You are no one. I know that because I was there. So today, I promise you, you will sleep like a baby because you know exactly why you cannot sleep. Why are you bloated? Why you have all this crappy stuff in your head where it keeps you awake? I will tell you all of this. So I was there. I was alone and lonely after divorce. I was sitting on the couch. Actually, I was laying on the couch watching Netflix all the time after work because I have no energy left. My son was teenager. He has his own world. He has his own friends. And I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, is what is left in life for myself? This is it? Nothing? Who am I? Right? My son doesn't want to have nothing to do with me. He wants the vital mom. And I was not that person anymore. So I see so many, and on top of that, I was stressed, depressed, exhausted, and I had those huge, massive uterine fibroids. I named it Fred. You shouldn't do it. So no one died from uterine fibroids. It's not like that sentence. But for sure, it's painful and can suck out of life of you. Who knows here how is to have fibroids? I know a lot of women have it, right? So I try it all. I travel states. I see doctors, but you know what the problem with doctor is? I love them, but you know, the system is broken. They don't have time. So if they do not have time, they will not find what is wrong with you. So I research and research. I try so many things until I found and come across something called functional medicine. Do you know what is functional medicine? Yeah, we are looking for the root cause of our problems. So first thing what they let me to do it, and they won't want me to do this, was to check my guts. We analyzed the poop, we were going through the diet, and poof, that was mind blowing. After 3 weeks of changing just two things in my life, just two things, I slept better, I have more energy, and I was much happier. And that was mind blowing. And there was soon after that, I realized that everything is in our guts. It's connected to our guts. And then that was mind blowing. Ladies, whatever it is, whatever you cannot sleep, you are bloated, you have the crappy toughs, you are depressed, exhausted, stressed, you name it. It's all in your guts. Because, lady, your guts is your second brain. Yeah. Everything starts in your guts. Your sleep, your bloating, your depressions, everything is there. So after 3 weeks, I was energized, I slept better, I was happier. Right? So I know you have tried so many things as well. So many of you tried diets, so many of you tried even medication to go and sleep, but you have all side effects, right? So today I want to show you the other way which prevent you from sleepless night, from bloating, from exhausting, and from stress. Ladies, those things are all in your guts. And those two things, what I changed, I want to share with you. Do you want to know the secret? Do you know what it is? I changed only two things in my life. And those things are what I ate and what I drank. It's simple, right? Because we all eat and we all drink. It's that simple. We are always looking for the big picture, for the C word, for autoimmune diseases, but our own health is in those heads. We can do this all. We can empower each other. We just need to know how. So, ladies, right now, I can finish this talk because you have the key. You have the key why you cannot sleep. It's your guts. It's really your guts. Hey, Marie said, yes, our guts is a second brain. So if you have a crappy thoughts and when you cannot sleep, you are depressed, most likely, and actually 100%, is something going in your guts. If your guts are dirty, if your guts are crappy, your thoughts are crappy and you cannot sleep. I know, I have been there. I couldn't fall asleep for an hours. And then I finally fall asleep. I woke up 3 a.m. every single day, and I couldn't fall asleep again. When I woke up in the morning, I felt crappy. Is there anyone who can relate to that? I'm sure it's so many of you who have the same issue, because we moms, we are putting everyone first, and we are the last. And then you don't know who you are anymore. In my world, I was just Patrick's mom. There was no Magda in my life anymore. I was no one. I have no dreams. I have no positive look on the life. I was stressed. I was exhausted. And to be honest with you, I was probably depressed, but I didn't have time to stop and think for a second about myself, because I was nobody. I put all of my energy, my heart, to my family, to my kids, my kid, I have just one, to my husband. I live in the United States, so we do not have big family. But I was nobody. And that's sad. And that's really sad, because I know deep in my heart there is so many moms like me who are feeling exactly the same way. As my son right now is an adult, I know back then when he was teenager that I need to change something. And as today, I want you to do the same. Choose you, so you will be not alone, lonely, without energy, binge with watching the Netflix, and there is nothing left inside you. So please stay with me for next 40 minutes, and I will share with you 2 secrets which saved my life. Are you ready for that? Do you want to know those 2 secrets? Simple secrets which can save your life, empowered you the next time you will go to doctor. You will exactly know that your symptoms matters. You will be not dismissed, because it's not in your head. You're right. You're not depressed. You are exhausted. You cannot sleep. You are bloated, because no one listened to you, like they didn't listen to me. They told me, I'm over 40, I don't need my uterus. I travel the states to find alternative treatment, and they always sell what they have. Surgeon will sell you surgery. Radiologist will sell you something what zap your uterus out. So I am on the mission to empower you in the knowledge, so you can sleep, you can feel happier, and you have amazing life in of you. So who is here who wants to know these 2 secrets? Put it in the chat. Are you ready to know that? All right. Yes, I can see yes. So guys, the 2 changes which I made personally in my life, and I'm telling you, it's super simple. It's what I ate and what I drank. Those things took me out of couch and took me, let's take a minute, I will share with you pictures so you will know that I'm telling you the truth. So here it is. I will share some picture with you. And for some reason I cannot open this full screen, but put in the chat if you can see it. So on the left side, it's me years ago, over a decade ago. I have such a discoloration on my face. I look like a cow, like the brown spots all over my forehead, all over my cheeks, even on my chin. I look literally like a cow. And those was all about hormonal imbalances. And so many of you know I live in Florida. We have sunshine all year long. And I'm a very active person. I love outdoors. And I really was insecure about that face, which show all the spots. But I refused to sit home. And I refused to put chemicals on my face. There is other way. On the right side, you see the picture of me 3 weeks ago after my challenge. Like you see, I still have little spots, but most of them are gone. It is just because I change what I eat and what I drink. So, ladies, and I don't know how to stop the screen, but somehow I will. I stopped the screen. A success. So, I would love to share with you those two secrets: what to eat and what not to drink. Shall we start? Awesome. So let's be honest. Every diet, and please don't panic if I use the word diet, because we all drink every day, we all eat every day, so we call it diet, right? We all do it every single day, but we may be doing this wrong. I did it wrong. So, first thing what we need to do in our diet, I don't like this word, I like to change it for the healthy lifestyle, because our body is our home. So, healthy lifestyle. First thing we need to do, we need to learn what we need to stop eating. Because every diet in the world requires anything, actually, not just diet. Everything in our world requires stopping something and starting something new to achieve different results, like good night's sleep. And ladies, if I do not sleep well at night, I am not the nicest person in the world. And I can be snappy, moody, bitchy, or other stuff. This is true. This is ugly true how it is. If we're not having good sleep, everything goes out of the whack. Our hormones, our sleep, we are getting bloated, and we are bloated, our thoughts are crappy because we are insecure. So this is the vicious circle which we will stop today, as I promise you. So we need to stop eating certain food. But don't worry, not for rest of your life, just for short period of time. All right? So let's start it. The first thing what I would love for you to stop eating is a dairy product. And dairy product is like milk, cheeses, yogurts, butter. We all love it. And I love them the most. There was the last thing what I stopped eating because I was so resistant to it. I absolutely love to put my mouth in the smoked Gouda cheese. I'm not doing this anymore, but I really love that. And I was doing this so often because I didn't eat anything else what was harming me, but that was actually the key. So dairy. So look around when you're buying stuff, stop eating dairy as the first thing. And it's going to be tricky because most processed food, most the dressing, they will have milk, they will have some kind of dairy in it. So be careful about that. And I'm not telling you to do this for the rest of your life, just a short period of time when I will tell you the secret soon. So next things, and I know you all know that, it's a gluten. So with the gluten is the most problematic because it's bioengineered, which means the DNA of these grains would change. So the ancient gluten is a little bit different, but this is a little bit for more advanced people. So we need to eliminate modern gluten from our diet, which will be breads, pastas, cookies, cakes. And to be honest with you, gluten is hidden everywhere. It's almost impossible when you're buying pre-made stuff like sauces, barbecue sauces, dressing. Guys, gluten is even hidden in toothpaste. Can you believe it? It's really that bad. And the gluten make your gut dirty and leaky, and when it's getting leaky, it's going to your brain and you cannot sleep, right? So you need to avoid anything what is gluten. The next thing are eggs. Eggs are very common allergen, so that's why we're removing this from our diet for a short period of time. The next thing is corn. Corn is one of the most engineered food, so cause a lot of bad reaction in our guts, which wreak havoc of our entire home, our body. Because you have only one home in this world, is our body. You cannot buy another one. So take a good care of it. Another thing is peanuts and tree nuts. I don't think I need to explain that, and because you know probably someone with a peanut allergy, or you saw the movie that you need to have EpiPen, you can die from it. But it also a lot of peanuts, a lot of nuts, especially in United States, are coated with mycotoxin. Other word for this is mold. The reason why stuff going to United States, I don't know how it is everywhere else in the world. In United States doesn't have much regulation if it comes to the mold. So we do have the produce what rest of the world doesn't want. It's not good enough to be on the market. So here we are. We have crap in United States because the rest of the world doesn't want it. Pardon me my language, but I cannot emphasize this more. Another thing is shellfish. A lot of people are allergic to shellfish and even sensitive to shellfish. We do not have time to go from all of it today, but shellfish is not something we were eating. So no shrimp, no crabs, or anything come up to shells, even oysters during the period we're not eating those kind of food. Another thing is citrus fruit. And that can be tricky, right? But we're not eating citrus fruit as well during this period of time. All right? So, and there is very tricky. There is another things, group of food we call nightshades. Nightshades are tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, potatoes. We also skipping those during this time. We're not eating those. And next is any processed food and additives. And I give you the briefly glimpse why. Because the manufacturers are looking always to put those stuff. Gluten is making your sauces thicker. So it's literally everywhere. Everywhere. Toothpastes, sauces, ketchups. So if on your label there is nothing like says gluten free, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Okay, this is the food what you should not eat. The second secret is what not to drink. And now I think you have some clues. Put in the chat what we shouldn't drink. I am curious, do you know it? And I noticed that a lot of my clients have one issue. We all know we cannot drink. Yes, I see this in the chat. We cannot drink alcohol. We cannot drink milk, what I already said, and any shakes, no protein shakes, gluten based on whey, no fruit juices, because they're full of sugar and processed. They have absolutely nothing what is healthy in there. And the one, what I left for last, is the what most of clients struggle, including me. It is, can you guess? We all love it. Yes, it's a coffee. No caffeinated drinks. And guys, even green tea has a caffeine in it, so no green tea for a short period of time as well. So as you can see, we have all this food, what we shouldn't eat, right? But I told you, I'm not asking you to do this for rest of your life. I ask you to do this for just 21 days. Everyone can do this for 21 days. Come on. 3 weeks is going so fast that you didn't even know what you were doing 3 weeks ago, and it feels like yesterday. So who's with me? Who can stop eating those food and stop drinking those drinks for 21 days? Yeah, I told you. It's simple. It's really, really simple. And it's just for 21 days. So, we really do not have a lot of time today. So we do not have just 21 days to get in deeper what we will do with this, what we should eat. But I gave you today two most fundamental things on your health journey, and the key why you cannot sleep. It is what you shouldn't drink and what you shouldn't eat. If you stop doing this, in 21 days you are completely a different person. Trust me, I have been there. Ladies, it's all in your gut. Isn't that mind-blowing? Yes, it is. Mary is laughing. Coffee. Yes. Sugar. Oh yes, sugar as well. Absolutely. I have taken gluten and wheat from my daughter's diets to reduce her HMA. Yes, absolutely. And how it works, put it in the chat. This is great. Absolutely. So, as I told you, we do not have time today to go through all of these tricks and secrets, what I'm holding my clients. But I want to show you and share some stories with you how it looks like working with me and what my clients said about, their energy, their sleeping, their bloating, and many other things. So, ladies, let's talk about Jenny. A successful woman, serial entrepreneur, two teenage daughters. When she came to me, she was exhausted. She couldn't lose weight. She had acne on her face at age of 46. That's like a lot of our confidence. And she was sleeping 5 hours every single night. I don't know how she was doing that. 5 hours? When I go back to this 5 hours when I was sleeping or couldn't sleep, well, yikes. I don't even want to go there. But after working with me, on week 3, she was starting having more energy. Her mood was more stable. On week 4, she had less stress. On week 6, she lost 10 pounds. 10 pounds eating delicious food. I'm not depriving my people. I love to live and enjoy life. So I can tell a lot about my clients, but I would love to share with you what they say about that. Are you up for it? Okay, this is the techie stuff, which I'm not good, but hold with me. No, it will not work. Fantastic. For some reason, my slides will not come off. Not so sure why. Alright, so we will not share what Jenny is saying, but I will show you her results, and I will not share results because Can you see my slides, people? Can you see my slides? Because for some reason they're not moving. I knew that happened. I'm stop sharing and I will do this one more time with you. Okay. One more time. No, it will not work. Fantastic. Okay, so let's do it without that. But now I cannot stop sharing. I stop. Fantastic. So Jenny, after 6 weeks working from me, went from exhausted to energized. All her acne, no pimple on her face. And she finally starts feeling better, sleeping better. But guys, that's not at all. My other client, Denise, when she came to me, she was so exhausted. She desperately needs to put some pounds on. She was so skinny, skin and bones. She was following plant-fed diets. She was doing everything what other people and doctors told her. It was plant-based diet, but it was highly processed food. I'm not against the plant-based diet. It's just you need to know what to eat, how to eat, and how source to it. She was doing more harm than good to herself. But after 6 weeks, she just not having more energy. Even her husband was worried about her that she's not going to sleep so early like she used to. It's a good problem to have, right? To have too much energy in the evening. And she start enjoying cooking. The person who constantly rely on processed food and food what was coming in the boxes to her house was plant-based. She thinks it's healthy. She start enjoying cooking and she loves it. She said to me that she likes what she cooks. Actually, she said, I cannot show you the slides, but she said, I enjoy the cooking. Who knew? This is the most rewarding things for me. But the most important is what she told me, that her life matters. After 6 weeks, she told me she feels like her life matters. And I think this is the most rewarding thing. So any coach, any practitioner can hear in life. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional because it was really, I would love you for see that, but I'm not techie person, so that's okay. So guys, you saw my picture, how I change. I wish I could share all of those. I show you, the graph, how my clients, my ladies do it. But I want you to have exactly for you. And that's why I created this 6 weeks program. And this is a life synergy program. And if it's okay with you, I would love you to share with you how it looks, how it looks to work with me. And how it is after 6 weeks. It can be you, how you can sleep better, not be bloated, not have those crap tasks during the night, to-do list, what I said, what I did. You know how it is. So is it okay that I will share this with you? Thank you. So in 6 weeks, it's just 6 weeks because it's scientifically proven that in 6 weeks, you can reset your guts, you can reset your system, and you can create completely new habits. And that's what we need, right? And also, I will give you entire meal plan with the shopping list. So that I will make your life easier so you don't need to guess anymore what to do with this broccoli. Who has this problem before? I can eat that and that, but I don't know what the hell to do with that, how to cook it. No more. I told you, I'm turning no cook to cooks, which is amazing. The third things, because you know that in our world there is always someone who will sabotage us. It's your family, it's your community, your friends. There is always someone who will want to invite you for a piece of cake or something you cannot have it. So I'm giving you the community of extraordinary women like you. Many of them are moms. And we hold in each other's hands because we are like-minded women. We want to live vital, happy, even when our kids grown up and go in the world. That's what I want for you, because I was the one who's living on the couch. And in this community, ladies, we are doing amazing fun things. You know what we're doing? Those ladies working hard, but they share all what they cook. They share also how they poop looks like. And trust me, this holds a lot of secrets as well. I told you, it's fun. Who doesn't want to know all about that? And the new thing, we are doing the blue things. So it's a lot of secrets. So who wants to know more about this? Yes. So for this 6 week, I try to share the slides again. That will be interesting. Or maybe I should change here. Okay. Hold on. Let's do something interesting.
If you have it open before you share, perhaps.
I think I cannot switch the slide, so I think yes. Can you
So
see it?
if you have it open in presentation before you share, then you can use the little arrows.
Okay, I got it. I think so. Yes?
Now we've got the whole screen. We've got everything.
How about now?
Oh, yes, that's better. There we go.
Oh my God, you are
Perfect.
the best. You are the best. So in 6 live of Reset Life Synergy, you will have me every week on the Zoom calls when I will teach you another secret and you can ask me all the questions. And trust me, you will have a lot of questions. And I already told you we will share those recipes. And the most important, what I'm doing differently than everyone else, you can DM me anytime during the business hours and I can answer all your questions. And you will have a lot of them. Like you see, I'm not good with tech, but I'm very good with food. So like Felicia helped me with those slides right now. I will help you where you will not know where is gluten hidden. I promise you that. And this is the most important things one of the most important things you will get, because I didn't have the support. I need to figure out everything on my own. So if you cannot make it live, you can also have access to all the recordings. And guys, this is worth a lot. It's worth more than $300. But for you, for a mom, I know how busy you are and things are not going well lately, right? In the world. So I do the special price for you. And I cannot change the slides.
In the corner, that one.
Yes.
Yep.
So today I have special offer for you. It's just $99.7 for 6 weeks, where you have absolutely 100% support, delicious recipes, DM messages, an amazing community of like-minded women. And all this is just in your hands for just $9.97. And if you are signed up for today for full price, I will give you the best bonus you can ever have. Have you ever been in a doctor and they told you it's all in your head? Is everything okay with you? Your blood work is perfect? I was there. So if you give me your latest blood work, I will analyze it from my perspective, from functional medicine. So I will be sure, yes, many times I know exactly this is how the blood work works. Doctors tell you it's in your head. So from functional perspective, our ranges are shorter, and my job is to find you why you cannot sleep, why you're not energized, why you bloated, and why you have crappy toughs. So after 6 weeks, when you play full out, you will sleep better, you will be happier, even people around you would love to hang out with you. And you will have no pimples on your face. A lot of fun. I would love to hold your hands and see you on the other side. And I need to stop sharing that. So, ladies, who would like to see on the other side? Thank you so much. You are amazing.
So beautiful, Magda. Such inspiring information. And as you were sharing, I was like, yes, the gut brain. And even, I always talk about the similarities, particularly when I look at womb work and our yonis, and the same structures of our voice and our throat is the same as our yonis and our vaginas. And when we think about our brain and our gut brain, it's made of the same material. And then it's like these three, and with the heart, brain, and all of that, it's all interconnected with the body. And so, yeah, really.
Absolutely. Doesn't matter what modality it will be Chinese medicine or Ayurveda or functional medicine. We call it different names, but yes, it's all connected. I will call it connection by vagus nerve. But yes, everything is connected. We have this misconception, like, because we are trained that way, the doctor told us that way. You have specialists from your head, and absolutely no one will connect the head to the guts. And we are treating everything separately, like thyroid problem, or just one thing for a thyroid. And ladies, I have been there when I went to the doctor, because I was laying flat after 3 hours of work on the carpet because I have no energy to get up. I was on autopilot day by day. And my thyroid was bigger. I have those fibroids. I was bleeding like crazy. And I didn't know this is not normal. I didn't, no one told me. Definitely not doctors, right? And they want me to put on their hormones and everything. So the journey was long. But once when I fixed my gut, my thyroid went perfect, everything was slowly going back to normal. I don't gonna lie to you. It's not a quick fix. It's a journey. It's a journey. You have been all your life working so hard to be in this position right now. Whatever it is, if you cannot sleep, if you are bloated, you work for this so hard. So you cannot expect to just quick fix and you will be 20 years younger or feel better in just one day. It's impossible. It's impossible.
I have noticed, though, you do notice it in your general everyday energy. Like, I notice when I'm intentionally purposeful with my food choices and I eat things at the right times, it's a completely different type of energy. And even with poor gut health, and this has been something I've suffered with for quite some time, I know a lot of it is the root emotions and the core damage that is also in there. But like this idea of like regulation, I've been to many doctors and many times they've said, just take laxatives. You can live on laxatives. And I'm like, that's not normal. And they'd say, oh, well, it must be normal for you, like to go to the bathroom once every 2 weeks, or it must be normal for you. And I'm like, it's not. Like, you put food in, where is it going? Like, literally, what's happening? And nobody would tell me what was happening. And it wasn't until I had to like go through the process of elimination, working out my diet, what I could eat at what times, what sits right, what doesn't. Now I'm finding that a lot of the foods I was eating, because of the shift in preservatives and manufacturing that they're doing, I can't even eat them. I'm noticing that my body's rejecting a lot of the healthy foods because of the way that they're treated. And like, what do we do in those situations? Because like, I'm here in Australia, we don't have very good grocers and markets, especially not on this side of town. It's like we're kind of the the bougainville of Queensland, so we don't get all the nice little market shops and things. What do we do when those products just aren't a viable option? Like, I've got a Coles, and Coles have really, really bad resources at the best of times, but what can people do in those situations where, like, budget and things, what are the first stages, I guess, we could take to really make a difference, even though circumstances can't change completely?
So this is absolutely great set of questions. First of all, I want to address that one thing is not more normal. We, as a society, we normalize common as normal. Even if you just look for the older videos, older serials, older movies from 90s. Look at how people looks like and what's changed. Our food. And maybe this is brutal what I say right now, but once when you realize that we are fed, and I think what is the store? Exactly the same way where the cattle is fed, it's just different packages and different spices. That's the difference. They're the same grains. Maybe cows doesn't have that many additives and color things. Maybe, I don't know. But this is what is the difference. And you have absolutely great questions, and I see you are very aware of your body, that you already know that you cannot eat that. You see absolutely differences. This is huge. Congratulations on that one. And this is what I do with people. I teach them what their body tell about their health, because our headache doesn't mean that we need ibuprofen. That means maybe we are dehydrated, maybe our spine is out of alignment. There can be multiple reasons. And on the beginning, everything is a tough. That's why I was doing a lot of navigation, like you said, how to shop, right? I remember when years ago, I have no idea how many years ago, my friend showed me the video on Netflix, Food Inc. And that was Saturday. I went to the store after that and I stand there and it's like, and what I should buy now? There is nothing I can eat here. Literally. So basically, we don't have all the time, but meat is healthy for you, not that one which is in the store. We shouldn't even close go to there. But start looking for alternative stores, start looking for co-ops, for farm stands, support your local farmers. Like, even, we buying the full cattle and we share it with the friends because it's much cheaper, and I have grass-fed, grass-finished, which what means is full of omega-3, which is absolutely good for our heart. The store-bought grain-fed is omega-6, which kills you sooner or later. So that is the difference. Those are the tricks, what I am teaching you, because when you know, you are empowered. When you know and understand, you value yourself and you have better choices. So if you are new on this, when you eat the food and the food when you eat make you tired, that means it's not good for you, because food is our fuel. Like, you put in the car the best fuel you can afford. You will never put the diesel into gasoline car. I don't know, I'm not my thing too. But yes, you will never do, because you will know you will not drive. But this is a perfect machine. This is our home. So the food you eating make you tired and groggy, bloated, and you cannot sleep after that, it's not food for you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point of, even just searching for those, like, I know it's hard sometimes in the areas, but even when you're out in other places, if you do find good fruit and veg market areas or butchers, and buy in bulk, if you have a freezer or you have the ability to do that, then I suppose it saves time. It's such a habit in our society. We want things now. Therefore, all those big commercial places are like, well, you can just get that there, and there. But even with the meat that we were talking about, we cooked up a steak the other day, and they use a lot of meat glue in the steaks to put all the pieces together that makes it look like the healthy parts, but it's actually not. And you can taste the difference in the gristle and all the bits. And so I know, like, before I had my daughter, I was like, let's go to these fruit markets, let's go to these butchers. But then sometimes life gets busy and then you just go back to the habit of where was easiest and convenient. But I think it's a really good point to support your local grocers, your local butchers, your local bakers, if you know what they're making things with. And I shared earlier with you, Magda, that in the last week we've really shifted with our daughter whose eczema flared up quite a lot over the school holidays. And we're like, right, my husband's like, just stop giving her sandwiches with the wheat and the things. We did go to gluten-free bread. We did go to more of like the corn-based bread. But even what you said about corn kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh, I thought that was healthy as an alternative. And it's like you can't win. So yeah, it makes you question what we are putting into our body, the fuel that we're putting in to balance everything, and the gut health, and looking at our fecal matter. I talk about all the things that people don't want to talk about, like you, but like even when you go to the toilet and looking at your poo, is it healthy? Is it coming out? Can you talk to people about that? Because like you said, Flea, what goes in must come out. And if there are things not happening in regulation, then it's something to dive deeper into. And I think it's all important for us to be aware of our bodies and what we put into it and how we talk about it in supportive groups. I'm terrible. I can cook, but I'm terrible. But I am lucky to have a husband that loves cooking and loves looking at the food and the quality and doing those things. But sometimes we don't have that. So finding people like yourself, these groups here to educate yourself, I think is really, really powerful. Are there any other final thoughts, Magda or Flea, on this topic?
Yes.
I just. Oh, you're right, Magda. Go.
I just want to add one more thing, because Mary actually touched some topic which I completely forgot about. That when I came to United States, my son was 5, and he didn't want to have nothing to do with American food, like literally nothing. But I forced him to do that because it was so convenient. It was like, meatballs in the can and spaghetti sauce and you name it. But I forced this beautiful child because I thought everything on the shelf is healthy. So, ladies, one more thing. If you have crappy mind and you are anxious, your child eating the same diet is exactly the same. And if you have younger children, your child doesn't know how to communicate with you and will scream and yell until you get this thing to him or her, whatever it is. It can be sweets, can be something. And we have no time for it. But it's really so important. What you eat, if affects you, also affects your children. So this is very important.
Absolutely. And like Marie was saying, like with the lunches, that is a prime concern, because I know in Australia, like the options that we're allowed to send to school for kids is kind of limited, and with the ridicule and bullying and things like that for having alternative foods, that's always an issue to consider as well. But with the corn, really highly toxic, and as someone who had to eliminate rice, gluten, dairy, literally everything, the only product I was allowed to consume that was a grain was corn. And in 3 weeks, I gained 5 kilos. I was completely
Wow.
blocked up. I felt out of sorts. I had no energy, and I was always hungry. I was like, I can't fill myself up. So for those people that do need to follow a corn diet, I would go the vegetable and keto alternative, because it was definitely far better than anything I've ever tried. But yeah, just beware of corn. It doesn't digest when you poop, so it kind of just goes to show that if you're going to put corn into an engine, it's going to clog up the mechanics along the way. So
Absolutely.
don't eat
That's
it. It's
why
lovely, but don't eat it.
That's why it's important to know what your body is telling you. Your body constantly communicate with us. We just learn from the beginning, especially we as a woman, as a mom, to put everything first, but ourselves. So how many of you took the cold medicine and go to work to mask the symptoms? we are put ourselves last. Our body is screaming at us, and we constantly like, shut up, I need to go, I need to go. But actually, where are you going? Because we all die at some point. Are you really going so fast to that? And I think I will leave you with that question.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I do have your lovely little testimonials here. Would you like me to finish sharing those? They're the ones that were in your file?
Oh, if you can, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much, Magda, for that. I'm going to play that and then we're going to take a short break and come back with our beautiful panel.
Thank you so much. It was an honor.
Also, I did Magda's 6-week reset program, and I actually feel and see a really big difference. Number one, in my energy level. Even if I do work out, there were so many little things that Magda had pointed out to me that I didn't notice. And just by actually looking at my daily habits and changing them one at a time and eliminating certain things and trying to reintroduce them back, I think I feel much more steady in my energy on a daily basis. I don't feel like I'm going up and down. I feel a little bit more in control. I am more aware of the choices I'm making in the grocery as well, and how I'm actually cooking, which is not something that I used to do. And I'm learning to enjoy it. And I think Magda has found some key. I am 10 pounds lighter than what I was, and I still am, working out. And my people around me are noticing, like, my skin looks better, my hair looks better. I am more steady too, and I instead of always just being like so stressed, I feel a little bit more calm and grounded. So I'm so glad I did it. I would definitely recommend anyone who's considering this to work with Magda and to have a conversation, because she will see something that you probably wouldn't notice, like what happened with me.
I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would enjoy cooking and actually like what I cooked. I kind of feel like a food artist, and I can now take the tools that she's giving me and make it my own. And who knew cooking was fun? Not me. I just thought it was a job, and it's time consuming, but it's so worth the time, because now I feel more vital. I may sound crazy, but it's the truth. I have more energy. I have much less fatigue. And the most important thing, and I won't cry, is that my body matters. My life matters. I want to live before I die, and I want to eat to live. I don't want to live to eat. I want what goes in my mouth to make me better, not worse. And I just love everything about all of this, especially Magda.
We are back. I think, yes, we are. We are back. And we have a beautiful panel coming up, which is, what was the topic again, Marie?
Oh, parenting with purpose, raising emotionally intelligent children through conscious choices and clear boundaries. And this panel, we have an array of beautiful women who have children, from little children all the way to adult children who are adults, but they are still your children. And this piece around evolution, growth, emotional intelligence, boundary setting, conscious choices, and I know we all make mistakes along the way, and just going along for the ride and supporting each other through that. So I'm really excited to hear the beautiful women on this panel and just share some beautiful wisdom with those listening in.
This is so amazing. And our first speaker is Michelle. She is a mama empowered speaker, author, and coach, as well as a contributing author to the Voices of Women 2023 and the Parenting Owner's Manual alongside her children, Liam and Bella. She helps mothers discover their unique genius through grace, community. And as the founder of Connecting Mamas and Mama Genius Hub podcast, Michelle inspires mums to create passionate, connected lives and influence their children. I love that she works with her kids. It's so beautiful.
So is it my turn now for Donna introducing her? Okay. Okay, I'm going to introduce Donna all over again, but it's an honor to keep introducing her. Donna is a neuro movement practitioner, teacher, transformational life coach, author dedicated to guiding clients to their journey to wellness. Her practice is rooted in the belief that healing is a journey and health is a lifestyle. She offers personalized mindful movement techniques that foster lasting vitality. And I love all of them. I know them very personally, but I have a lot of love for Donna, so I'll have to always say it whenever I introduce her. Donna, thank you for always supporting everything that Mothers United Movement always does. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Your
bless.
support really matters.
Oh, amazing. And we have two more amazing women joining us. And then the next one I get to introduce is beautiful Lena, a cancer survivor, autism advocate, a mama bear with 20 years of experience in healthcare, and a whole person scientist. She is a national board certified health coach, #1 international best-selling author and speaker. She's dedicated to disability advocacy, home education, and community service, blending logic and compassion to support others. Oh, so excited to dive deep. And Flea, our other beautiful guest who just spoke as our keynote.
The beautiful Magda. She is a board certified functional medicine nutrition coach known for her holistic approach to reversing chronic disease. She empowers clients by addressing root causes and helping them restore vitality, joy, and energy in their lives. And we heard all about that, and it is absolutely fabulous. I can't wait to dive in a little bit deeper and do some more intentional work when it comes to my health. So thank you everybody for joining us. It is so fabulous to be here discussing all of the different ways that we can grow intentionally and develop a stronger and clearer pathway for our children, I believe, and those youth coming into our fields.
Yeah, so true. And this journey of parenting, when you first become a mom, a parent, I found my daughter's about 8.5 now. I would talk to my other mum friends or other parents, and even though I'm a teacher, and I would work with parents and help raise like children through to teenagers, and see such a big community. I know stepping into this role and this guardianship of parent, of mother, of looking after another little being, just totally threw me into the deep end. It was so beautiful. It almost, parts of it were like almost a blur, where I lost myself at times, and then other times where I felt so deeply connected. It was almost like this spiritual grounded bonding experience. And then it was like navigating so many parts of relationship with myself, with my daughter, with my husband, with other things. And this journey into parenthood, into motherhood, I class as an initiation. an initiation into something deeper. And so I just invite you, ladies, if you're not speaking, just to make sure you're on mute. And then we can just make sure we have nice, beautiful, clear sound. And then when we invite you to speak, we'll get you to unmute. That would be beautiful. But I'd love to just open up the storytelling into when you were initiated into parenthood. And we've heard some stories already in different facets and themes, but this piece around your own emotional intelligence first and what developed for you versus then thinking about, well, how am I going to raise this child or these children in a really holistic, grounded way that was your way. So I'd love to invite beautiful Lena, who's next to me on my screen. Welcome, Lena. I'd love to hear some of your journey and insights.
So we're talking about the initiation into motherhood. For me personally, this happened, my oldest is 18, and I've always wanted a girl, and she was a girl, and it was a beautiful experience giving birth to her. But then about 6 months into it, I recognized there were some signs that didn't sit easy with me, and I knew that there was going to be a different path for my motherhood with my oldest daughter. And she ended up receiving an autism diagnosis. But what I remember most about that time, and I think every mother will relate no matter the process, is that I was doing a lot of things. I jumped into this idea of action and constantly being in this mode of performing rather than being, and transferring that that calmness, that reassurance, and that trust that comes with mothering. So if you think about motherhood and mothering, so mothering is kind of an action-oriented, almost a masculine term. Being a mother is a whole different experience. So for me, that initiation highlighted the difference, and the autism journey kind of brought me into recognizing how I would like to do it and kind of evolving down the road. I had 2 children after my daughter, so my next 2 were boys, so that's a whole different story.
Beautiful. And Lena, when you found out this diagnosis in regards to, I suppose, the stereotypes and the expectations of what it is to be mother, was there anything, I suppose, in your emotional journey that in these roles that we play and being this beautiful mum for this gorgeous being in front of you, like, was there an emotional journey in your awareness that was really shifting in this role for you?
One thing that I remember so vividly in those younger days is being afraid of making the wrong move, making the wrong choice, not catching something, or not giving her a therapy or some kind of an intervention in time, because I always felt like time was running out. And the shift that you're asking about came when I finally settled into the knowledge that she is a beautiful human being, that it does not matter what the diagnosis is. What matters is that she is here and that she has a purpose, and that I am here to hold that and to give her a body. Like Magda was saying, I'm completely and utterly accepting of who she is. What I was not at all accepting is for her body to not work the way it needs to work, for her gut to not be entirely healthy and connected to her brain. So those were the things that I was addressing. And emotionally, I had to kind of discover that difference between accepting her completely and yet working on some of the aspects of the physical health that I could change and affect to allow her the opportunity to blossom into this beautiful being that she's supposed to be.
Oh, Flea, I know Flea was going to add something there, but what a beautiful purpose and mission. And we spoke yesterday about our children being a catalyst for change. And I can hear it in your essence of like this purpose of nurturing her into her fullness so she can be the most greatest version of herself. And in that, we also become the greatest versions of ourselves. And it's a beautiful purpose and vision to share. And I'm going to pass it over to Michelle, who works with a lot of mothers as well. You've got 3 children. I know we speak about 2 briefly in your bio, but your 2 older ones also get to work with you. And this purpose and mission around parenthood, supporting mums, and also working with your children. Are there like boundaries that you set in place? And would love for you to share your insights on this topic.
Well, I think especially with that is just giving the kids opportunity, and it's not a forcing. So for instance, with my daughter, she was in the first book and she did the first summit and she was really good, and she got invited to other summits, but then she was just like, that's not for me. I don't want to do that. And so then I didn't bring that up again. And then my daughter's in the comments right now. My youngest right now, she's like, Michelle has one more daughter and her name's Lily. And she's in the comments right now. She's watching us. So hi, Lily. So, but with my oldest, it was something he wanted to do. As soon as he saw that this summit was offered to his Voices of Women, and I'm like, not much I can do. You're not a woman. I can't invite you to the summit. And so he was kind of angry by that. And so when an opportunity came out from a Family Matters summit for him to speak, he was like, I'm there. And he's been speaking ever since because that's something he enjoys doing. He even one time offered a podcast course, and he was like, I didn't really have many people in it. And so he decides, Mom, can I join your podcast course? I'm like, okay. So he came on that night and didn't say anything afterwards. 3 days later, he was like, I think I'm ready to start my podcast. And so that was months ago, but he has recorded 3 episodes since. And so it's more of just fostering them at their pace and just providing the opportunity to them, but not necessarily the force of it. So my other daughter just went off and went on to swim and do other things. And so just finding what they're good at. And Lily, who's watching right now, is joining me on the Mama Genius Festival most mornings, doing some kind of mindfulness activity that today we talked about. It was her idea just to go outside and point to all the things that we're grateful for 1 minute, because we do that a lot. We're just like 1 minute of gratitude. And so it was her idea today to go do that. And so I think it's just the invitation. And then there was one day during the week where we were just running late and she couldn't do it. And she's like, Mom, I can't do it today. I'm like, that's okay. It's just giving that invitation to them to be able to come in and play as well, if they so choose.
That is so perfect. And I know that with the last summit, Marie's daughter, Aya, was exactly the same. She kept coming in going, what are you doing? Why are you here in my house? But then it was this curiosity of like, well, how are you doing that? And why are you doing it this way? And she wanted to know all the back end of what was happening there, which was so beautiful to just, show her, well, this is one way that you can talk to people around the world about things that matter and things that are, making a difference. And just that curiosity at 8 was so beautiful. And I was like, oh, wow, like it might be something that interests you, or it's already that development of this is ways that I can speak. This is ways that I can be. And that's enough. It didn't have to be a push like you come and join or you do or any of that. It was just, oh, well, what do you want to know? Come in, be curious, ask the questions. And like when I talk about education, to me, that's what I believe a teacher is when you're in your element and you're in your glory and you're doing the things like for me to be painting, those kids coming in and saying, what are you doing? Why are you doing it that way? And it's like, well, why not? Why don't you give it a go? What else could I do? What else should I do? And, working through those processes of investigation, which then leads to that cognitive process of I can do it too. And it's so beautiful to just have that simplicity.
I was going to say, I just love that so much because that's the whole purpose, is that when the moms are in their genius and just illuminating that, then the kids are curious and they start to ask questions, and they start to say, that's for me, that's not for me. And it's not this push, because you're not like projecting your dreams onto them that are not established, but you're establishing your own dreams, being the role model, and then just kind of guiding them to figure out, what do they want to do? Okay, well, she didn't want to speak. He does. So we'll foster that, foster her swimming, whatever it is that they keep choosing, but providing those opportunities. Everyone's like, are you a swimmer? I'm like, I've never swam forever, but found the right swim lessons that fostered her what she wanted to do, and just went with that. And my husband and I have never been swimmers. She's a state swimmer and had no clue, but it was just providing those opportunities and seeing where they led. She took 2 seasons off last because she didn't want to go into burn. Like, I don't know if it was, we just wanted to foster what she wants. So she took 2 off. This fall, she's right back in it, doing it almost 5 times a week, but it's her choice. Wow. And I would not want to put the money or time into it if she wasn't invested in it. I don't want to push her to say, you have to go swim. If it drives from them, then I'm so like, yeah, I'm there. I'm going to help you. But we're not going to do this unless you make the commitment to what you want to do.
And Michelle, before I move on to another beautiful person, this piece around communicating with your children, this conscious awareness of what they like, knowing, you know, if they're trialing something out, and their boundaries, and this genius zone that you talked about does come down to this emotional awareness of, well, what lights them up, what lights me up. And I think about my daughter Aya, who watches me go live and speak. She comes to my events, and now she's like, I want my own YouTube. I want my own things. Where, I suppose, in talking with your husband and your children at various ages, where are the boundaries, I suppose, in safety, in allowing them to pursue things that they're interested, versus safety of, like, you know, age restrictions? And I know this is why Flea and I are creating this youth summit, but in conversation with adults. Where are the boundaries, I suppose, there? Because you've got children that are entrepreneurs and being nurtured very consciously. What, I suppose, discussions do you have with your husband, your kids, the age groups, and the boundaries in safety?
Well, I think it came down to also their feelings as well, because at first they were doing some shorts and stuff that were public, and my older girl got a little bit like, didn't want to do that anymore, and then it kind of just became a thing like, we're not going to do that anymore, like, because they didn't feel comfortable with that. And I'm like, no problem. We're taking on. So more, it's like that Lily, when she does a live, she's doing it live into the Facebook group only. We're not doing the public ones as well. Whereas Liam is almost 14, and he's choosing. He hasn't necessarily released a podcast yet, but it's in that discussion because it's something that he's been driven to do. So I think it's having those open conversations, but making sure the drive is coming from the kids, not from what you might want from them. And so he's pushing for that, but he's been talking about the podcast for months now and starting to record here and there. But I'm not going to say, well, you have to have it out or you have to do this thing. So it's really that open conversation, figuring what's comfortable for them, but really thinking about the age as well and how much do you want them out there, but also saying how their comfortability, because once they get to middle school, once they get to those things, you can't take those videos back. Everyone's like, oh, you're the person on there. So it is really something to consider, especially with mom entrepreneurs and stuff, is how much do you want your kids involved in the background, and really to have a thought process about before just doing it. And so when I've learned my lesson, so we start doing it, but then the uncomfortability is like, then we just kind of took back pretty quickly. And so honestly, they have all the shorts that I do now are all podcast related. They're not, and it's more talking about it. But like inside the Facebook group, she's happy to go live and do those things. And I feel comfortable allowing her to do it because I know it's just within that community. It's not going across the whole internet, things like that. So it's really figuring out and listening to your gut to what feels right and the age appropriate for them, and having those conversations with both your spouse and the kids as well to what they actually want to do.
Great insights. And moving over to our experienced mothers who are now grandmothers, Donna, you know, you've gone through all the phases that we're kind of talking about in different things, and you're at this other end where you're still a mother, but you're also a grandmother, and, you know, your parenthood journey started at a very young age, and it was so wonderful to dive deeper into, you know, your path. And I'd love to hear some of your insights on your journey with setting boundaries. You know, you shared yesterday about like having a girl and then having boys, and there were different set of like almost rules or ways of being and mothering with them in the context. So I'd love to know, like, I suppose, in your way of communicating purposefully, intentionally with your children, how you navigated that, you know, for yourself or other mums that might be experiencing similar things. I think you're muted, Donna.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so with my daughter, I had her for 11 years before I had more kids, you know, so almost 12 years. And so it was like having a, you know, an only child for a long time. And she was a girl versus two boys. And she was a perfect angel, and they were two boys. So that's how I always felt in the beginning, you know. And I had a total different idea of what having boys was like. But you know, I don't know about intentionality when you're 15 years old. Being an intentional parent, you're just like grasping for everything. But she was very easy to take care of, and you know, I was very busy because I was a student still trying to get through high school, and immediately after needing to get work. By that time. By the time I graduated, she was already 3, you know, nearly 3, and I had already separated with her dad. So then I was a single mom. So I'd had very, you know, several kinds of journeys over my parenting. I, you know, was a teenage mom, and then I was a married adult mom. You know, my boys came when I was nearly 30 and 30. And so it was so different, you know, when she was with my husband and I before we had kids, we were just a happy family, only he didn't make any decisions, you know. It was her and I, and I, we lived like a family, but I made all the rules, and we lived in the country. So it was pretty easy to, you know, I take her to town and make sure everything got done, and I picked her up, and he did also, you know, he was there for that when he could, but he was a farmer who worked many hours and, you know, 7 days a week, a lot of the year. So we had a lot of time to spend together without, you know, so I was a single parent. It was like a single parent. And then I had 2 boys, about 2 years apart, and it was totally different. She was kind of grown up already, you know, and very mature for her age, and a really good helper. But by then she was busy off doing her own stuff. And while they were very young, and then I got busy. And the difference was I was a working, busy mom, single mom with her, but with the boys, I was a stay-at-home mom. So there's so many different dynamics going on, and different experiences for myself. But in the end, you know, I have a 50-year-old daughter right now, a 40-year-old son, and a 36-year-old son, and they're all doing amazing. And, you know, I don't know that I can take any credit from it for it, because, you know, I think what happened is I just decided I don't know anything. They teach me what I know. You know, they have taught me so much by making mistakes. Of course, I made lots of mistakes. And raising my daughter for 11 years was totally different than the way I raised my sons. And it was for myself to compare being a single mother without having to compromise with another person to decide what's right or wrong for, you know, what was happening, was much easier than having a father involved making some of the decisions, and, you know, having to compromise. And at that point, I recognized how controlling I was. I was a very controlling mom. That's probably why my daughter was a perfect child. She never made mistakes because she didn't want, you know, the backlash of that. With my sons, they probably could care less. You know, they had each other, and they were boys, and they were like wild out in the country boys. You know, they were raised that way, and it was joy. It was so much fun, but I didn't ever plan on it being so much more emotional to raise boys than it was to raise a daughter. And I'm not sure why that is. I think they just are very different than females. And maybe because I can relate to my daughter more than I can relate to my sons. But I think that's what really got me to recognize I need to change, that I could not know what was right for. I knew what was right for everyone. I knew right from wrong. And obviously, they learned right from wrong also, based on my husband and I and how we lived. But yeah. And now with my grandchildren, I'm so free to not care how my sons, my son, I have one son who has 4 boys. And, I think he's a wonderful dad, and I know when it's hard, and I don't ever feel like, ooh, I would do that differently, because I know, you learn from your kids, and yeah, we make mistakes, and his kids are amazing. They're beautiful, loving beings. I'm so grateful to be a grandmother. And I just know from my adult children that everything that I did it was okay. My daughter is a Buddhist priest. She lives in a monastery. My sons are farmers. They have taken over our, land and everybody's doing well. They're healthy. We never had a problem health wise or no, I can't. There was a time when I would question, when's the other foot going to drop, because it can't be this good. Today I know that that's not the case. Life is good based on your perspective of it. And I really realized that by telling my story about my past and seeing it totally different than what I know I felt like during the time I was living it. So I just recommend people write their story, because then they could look back on it and make it anything they want to, and know that it was all for you. It was all for you. Every bit of it is for you. As difficult as it might seem when you're in it, it's all being done for you. And there really aren't mistakes. They're just some harder things to get through than others.
Oh, thank you, Donna.
Yeah.
There's there's some really cool bits in there. The boys, the difference between that is cognitively, boys will always have more energy when they're younger. So that's the difference, is that girls will be calm when they're young. They turn into little nasty ones when they're 12, 13. But the boys are the opposite. They actually will revert and they'll calm down a little bit more in that teenage years than they were previously. It's something to do with their energy and their development. But as someone that worked in early childhood, that's what I noticed. It's like, why are the boys so full on? And as a mum of 2 girls, I was like, I wouldn't know how to deal with a boy if I had a boy. What on earth would, like, no. And even having, as a bonus mum, having the twin boys, it was like, oh, it is so different. Like you kind of don't have to do anything for them, but at the same time, you don't have that bonding that happens with a female, which is a little bit different. It's and that's just my experience. I guess as a bonus mum, it's a little bit different. But in that energy, I was always confused. It's like, I don't know what to do now, because I'm just so used to girls, and the girls just always wanted to do everything, be everywhere, know everything, and talk to anyone. And it was like, do you guys want to go to the beach or do something on the holidays? Oh, no, it's all good. Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
So it is a reversal in their development in that way that changes them and makes it completely different. But in saying that, there is the beautiful, quiet little boys that behave completely different as well. It's lovely. And I think we need to move on and hear some of beautiful Magda's story and how
Yes,
you came into the motherhood role.
yeah, and a mother of a son as well.
Well, my story, I have only one child and he's an adult right now. And my motherhood actually was the warrior motherhood. I brought my son, perfectly healthy child, to the United States when he was 5 years old. And soon after that, when perfectly healthy child in Poland went to American school, they want to put him on the pills. And I barely speak English. I still have very accent, as you notice. And it was very hard navigating to me through these all new cultural things. So first of all, definitely my intuition was telling me, I was young, I was in 20s, so but my intuition was telling me, wait a minute. Why he was perfectly healthy, normal behaving boy in Poland, and now, month later, in United States, he has ADHD and they wants to put him on the pills. So that's what has started my motherhood in United States. I didn't put him on the pills, but there was steps to overcome one after another, and I had no choice, become the warrior. First of all, they told me he will never read and write, they will put this on me, which I absolutely didn't agree with that, because I was spending hours with this child, and I just noticed one thing: when I put the same things on the paper, he doesn't know what is that, he was just memorizing that. So it was me constantly fighting for his well-being. He was diagnosed that he will never write and read. I never tell him that. I fight the school system. Yes, he's reading and writing. He is very successful young boy, young man actually, not boy anymore. But standing the boundaries between two cultures, what I want to bring from my motherland and want to adapt from different culture, with was constant pushing between me and him, because his peers would want something different, he wants something different. So the cultural crash make me really set up the boundaries, the setup, give me the vision, who I want to see my son being grown up. I didn't have a good example from a home, because my father was an alpha, and he didn't really care what my mom thinks, what I think. It was just shut up, go to your room. I didn't want my son to be shut down. I was allowing him to make different choices, even if he doesn't like it. Because I tried to, when he was like little bit older, I teach him to use his own brain. I didn't give him solution. I give him options. He didn't like it because he wants this, like, give me the answer. I wasn't doing that. And I make so many mistakes. Maybe at some point I was too hard. And to be honest with you, as right now, and I had amazing relationship with my son. As right now, I'm not his favorite person, and it's really heartbreaking. And the most challenging thing is that not trying to fix it, allowing him to see what he's doing and to fail or succeed, whatever it will be. It's not my job anymore to hold his hands. He's an adult. Even he tried to be 1 second a child, 1 second an adult. He needs to understand, he needs to choose who he is right now. And I think and I believe the guidance what I was giving him during his younger years, even when he'll get the lost, he will find, and I believe and I'm praying for that he will find his way to see the light in that. But like I said, we as a motherhood is a beautiful thing. But let's be honest, we have no idea what we're doing. Doesn't matter what is like 1 month old or 10 years old, 20 or 30. Everything is brand new for us. And we have some guidance from our parents, from our ancestors. But we really need to recognize what we really want for our children, how we want to raise them, to not make the same mistakes. So as I did many mistakes, and I think I was tough mom. You call it tough love, but maybe that's why I raised successful young boy.
Yeah, it's so powerful, Magda. And what kind of resonated with me was like, sometimes you're not their best friend. And even in adulthood, like I reflect on even myself, my mother, and wanting to make generational change. And we spoke about it a little bit yesterday, but noticing traits that I see that my mother's traits that I was like, no, I'm not going to be like that. And then I find myself doing these things. I'm like, actually, I've become my mother in this moment. And it's interesting, and even thinking about us as adults and sometimes really hard dynamics with growth, with going different paths, with disagreements. And this is what family is like. Sometimes it's really freaking hard. And sometimes I haven't spoken to my mother in very long periods. And then we find our way back to each other. And, I think about even my husband hasn't even spoken to his mother from a disagreement or something, and having clear boundaries about, no, if I don't do this now, it's going to allow this ripple effect. And so this piece around knowing ourselves first and foremost, allowing the mistakes and all the things to happen, and that well-being and that harmony that we were talking about, and this balance of like, sometimes we just have to be in the mess of it, and that can be tough. And I know, Shika, before we jumped on, we were talking about energy, and I was like, oh, I just did this day, and then going to play with your two boys, who are younger, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Where I suppose in this piece around emotional intelligence, purpose, and also the boundary settings and noticing your own energy, like what's alive for you at this point of time?
First of all, everything I hear, it always inspires me to hear new things. I'm just not done with this mother stories. I don't know why. I just keep like, the more I hear, the more I learn, and the more I learn, the more I keep thinking, what am I doing? But I have two boys, like 5 and 11, and I just recently discovered. I'll just tell stories because I love stories, and stories can say everything. So there's a little story that has taught me a lot more than anything else, because I don't know what I'm learning. It's just every day every day is a new day, every day is a new thing. And so when I was expecting my first boy, I was photographing till my ninth month. 2 weeks was left due date, and then finally there was some false call, and then Rohit told me that, I think time for you to sit down. No more cameras, no more taking this thing. Where are you going to run with this first time having a baby and you don't even know anything about it? So I think, okay, I'm saying I can't sit at home. So he gave me this puzzle of 1,000 pieces. I love horses. He says, why don't you finish this? Like, he got like 7 8 things that one could play with themselves as a game, and he gave it to me. He's like, while you wait, even in the middle of the night, do this. So I started this horse puzzle, 1,000 pieces. I was very proud that I finished 750 before I went to the hospital. And I was like, wow, it's coming. And the difficult part was left, honestly, all blue and all white in small pieces. There's no way you can join them. But I had this notion, and I just came up with this very dreamy thing at that time, that idea that, okay, whichever child comes in, this child is going to complete this puzzle when he becomes 10, or he or she, whatever. It's going to become 10 years old and 11 years old. So that puzzle was kept very carefully over 11 years. My son is 11. Very carefully under the bed here. It should not move, because an emotion is attached, a story has been built, everything is done. And on his 11th birthday, I come and give him that puzzle, and I tell him, why don't you just complete this? Isn't it like in my tummy and you're about to come, and I've done all this big thing which I made. He looked at it, he tried 2 pieces, he's like, I'm not doing it. So here goes my 11 years of building the whole thing up. And at that point in time, I had two options. One, to get emotionally attached to the story I created and tell him that for 11 years, I've been nurturing this story, and I've been trying to tell you that this is what's going to, it's just another 200 pieces to finish, right? That's like one option. And the second option is to say, thank you for teaching me that you're not my story. Simple. And I went, I hugged him, and I'm not really trying to finish that puzzle. I've lost everything, in just wanting to do anything with that puzzle. But now I'm somehow going to sit down and complete it, because I want to complete the story and I want to put it up in the wall. But In this between this 11 years, I've learned so much. And this story I always tell people is that the stories we are creating that our children are going to become every single day, or what they will, and they're not going to, because it is our story and it's an individual life coming up. And as Donna said, to teach us. So I think I'm learning a lot, totally different voice. One is absolutely social, loves hugging people. Other one doesn't even want to leave me. He's 5 years old and he's still clinging on to me. And he just last night, it's the second year we're trying to get him to become interactive with the world. And it was a big meltdown. But I don't know how to make friends, and other one knows how to make friends very fast. And the second one, I don't know how to make friends, and I'm totally bored sitting when people are around. And as a mother, you're sitting there and you're just like have to provide totally two different becoming two different mothers to two different children. But at the end, you're still creating your own stories. You still have your own notions of your children, just allowing them to thrive and become who they can be, would be, want to be, and become a witness to the journey of yourself and theirs. I think is the only thing one can do, just to witness it and to stay in that vibration, frustrating sometimes, but consciously moving every single day with that puzzle story that I'm making my own story. I don't know what they're going to become, what they're going to take from me, what am I giving them, what are they receiving. I have no clue. But I just know that every single day when I wake up, can I give them some more love? Because my mentor told me a long time back, only one thing that I've been constantly following as a mother is, he just told me that he was my poetry mentor, and he just told me that remember to give an extra year of childhood to your child, because the day they become adults, they will be adults for the rest of their lives. So let them have one more extra year of childhood. So very consciously, I have just been thinking, am I being really hard for them to grow up very quickly? Like my 5 year old is just 5 year old. He is going to leave me one fine day. My young older one left me at the age of 3 and went to the world. My 5 year old will go maybe at when he's 8 years old, maybe he's 10. But there will be one fine day he will, leave and go. So, just providing that the one extra year of childhood, the way they are maneuvering it, is the only thing I've been following as a rule. And every time I'm in a hurry for them to grow up, I just tell myself, give them one more year. It's okay. One more day. That's fine. Because the day they will become adults, they will be adults till the dying day of theirs. So that's my story. And I mean, of course, you can dive into 100 stories and everything, but my conclusion is I've stopped making any stories for my children, any expectations of what they're going to become, any expectation out of me. Am I going to be a good mother, a bad mother? I just pray for them that they have the ability and the life skills that I can guide them through, so that when the time comes and the U turn needs to be taken from a very difficult situation, they can take a U turn and come out of it. Doesn't matter, they can go very far into a very bad situation, but they know that the time is right and it's time to take a U turn. And it should come from inside. The voice should be here. Not their mother's voice, not their father's voice, not anybody else's voice. It should be, I should not do this. I'm in danger. So with that focus, I'm trying to find. I'm still trying to. I don't know whether it'll work to give them the support for the U-turns in life. When let them experience the adventure, but the U-turn possibility should be there so that they're not very deep and they can come back. Yeah. So that's my gist of raising two children. I don't know, boys, girls, whatever, but yeah, I'm raising two children who are doing their own bit in my life.
So powerful. And this piece around them cultivating their inner voice, I think is really important. And it comes down to presence. And I know, and I reflect on my own life, because our children, again, remind us of how to become more present in the moment. And I know when I became a mother, even though I was emotionally aware and I taught other children and teenagers, there were still layers of deeper emotional work that was being reflected through my daughter that was then allowing me to go, well, what else haven't I felt, or what in those moments when you said those moments of deep frustration and the tantrums that happen, I still see adults having tantrums, and it's like, whoa, what did you not allow yourself to express as a child to its fullest? And I remember one time when I was 4, she, and this was after finding out my first miscarriage, and at 4 years old, she was dealing with grief, and I didn't even know, I didn't even know how to recognize that she was going through process on top of myself. And there were so many tantrums around people leaving her at 4 years old. All my friends have got other siblings to go to. And because I was dealing with my own stuff, when these fiery, and she's a little redhead, so the big emotions are there, but these fiery tantrums, and one of them lasted like 12 hours. And I was like, how is this possible? I was never allowed to go that long. And so in those moments of the deep emotion, I was like, how do I hold space and allow her to feel it to its fullest, while also noticing my emotions in this moment to allow her to feel it, and me to cry at the same time, and this deepening of my own capacity to hold space. We were talking about before, how can we hold space for so many people and clients and things? But I has probably been my best teacher in allowing me to feel the fullness of my emotions, because I've been able to witness her. And Shika, you said this before about being the witness. And in those moments of the mistakes and noticing the times where I became my mother and I hated myself for it because I just didn't know what to do. And sometimes we do horrible things that we regret and lash out. And it's like, no matter how conscious or how aware we are, when our emotional intelligence is at its peak, whether it's our children, our mothers, our fathers, our partners, our nervous system is key to being able to navigate. And so I'm just going to open the floor to this piece around emotional regulation, intelligence as women, as mothers, and I suppose these moments that have taught us, where our boundaries are. And the tantrum that I had with Aya when she was 4, I remember, and I've only shared this with a few people, I remember being so, she was screaming in my face and I just wanted it to stop. And there was this airbed and I pushed her. I just wanted it to stop. And then I started crying because I was like, oh, I became my mother. And that experience, and I'm emotional now because I haven't shared that story. And there's a piece of me that is, and as parents, that we're like, shit, I just did the thing that I hated being treated. And growing up in my household, if the girls did the wrong thing, there was violence, there was emotional and psychological abuse that I went through, and I was like, I'm never going to be that person, never. And those boundaries were set in childhood and teenagehood. But then in these moments of these intensities, I found myself, I just she was 4, and I just pushed her. I was like, stop. And my body just wanted to stop. And it was that regrettable moment, and then her crying, and then I crying. And then it was this moment again of, wow, I just did the thing I hated in the most littlest way. And I can see myself judging myself as I'm explaining this to you now. But even voicing that side of noticing that allows the healing to happen and to process. And what was beautiful after that moment, I suppose, in my own emotional intelligence growth, was there was a deep forgiveness that happened afterwards when we both held each other, when we both said sorry, and at 4 years old, she just held me and said, it's okay. And then I cried even more because I'm like, wow, this depth of our children teaching us in the most horriblest parts of our humanity at times is so powerful. So I'm just going to open it up to that piece then. Whoever would like to talk, please share, pop your hand up. But I think this piece around that, as a mum, I came into it going, yes, I'm going to be open to the things, but it was like this really conscious awareness that I'm not going to repeat the same mistakes that I experienced growing up. And I was like so determined. And again, the controlling factor, I'm like, I'm just going to be the best mother I can. I'm never going to hurt my child. I'm never going to do this. And then these moments just get reflected, but it's through that deep forgiveness and what happens afterwards that then rectifies or alchemizes or shifts and heals in those moments. So I'd love to open up to this, because I know sometimes parents don't get to hear about this level. So who would like to add value, add on to it? Was it, sorry, Flea, who was that? Michelle, go for it. Michelle, then Donna.
Well, first of all, before I tell my story, I wanted to say what I was listening to your story. Like, it's so easy to like feel for it and have that feeling. But when it's happening to you as a mom, you're just beating yourself up in your head and not being able to give that forgiveness. And so I just wanted to bring that forth first as we tell these stories, because it's so easy to say, oh, and be that friend for someone else in front of you. But really the true goal right now is to try to be that friend for yourself and release some of that as part of the emotional intelligence of really growing with it. And especially seeing that mirror through your kids, because they really are mirroring what you're doing. And so I have two stories for you, actually. One is first with my oldest, who I wanted so bad to belong. And I was struggling with finding moms and things and wanting to belong. So I was projecting that onto him and seeing that he wasn't making friends. He was struggling with it, or at least in my eyes, struggling with it. And that kept bringing up all this tension and friction. And I just found myself always, like, anytime I go talk to him, I just start asking questions like, so who'd you hang out with today? Who'd you sit with at the lunchroom? And he would like just freeze. And you could see him just like want to ball up to Michelle. And then he would just start yelling at me. He's like, I don't want to talk about this. Why are you talking about this? And it just become these big yelling fests. And then I basically just put my hands up in the air and say to my husband, you deal with me, deal with him, right? But then as a mom, I was just like, I don't want that kind of relationship with my son. And so that's kind of where the idea of, even like, I didn't realize at the time, was looking for that genius inside of him, and not the things I was seeing that was lacking. But once I started asking questions about like gardening or cooking or just things that he was interested in, that changed the conversation. And so I think it was really about being more of a detective. Instead of me worrying about his belonging, worry about my own belonging and work on that for myself, and seeing those, because they are those little triggers for you. But that then takes me actually to Lily, who's in bed now. She came by to give me a hug. But she won that. So this is actually recently. This is probably about a month ago now, somewhere in that range. She was getting ready for bed, and she just looks at me and she goes, "Thank you, Mom." I said, "For what? What did I do? I want to know what I did." I would not expect this out of an 8-year-old. She said, "Thank you for doing things differently than your mom." And just for that, I mean, to be able to recognize that as an 8-year-old and to really be in that emotional intelligence, I mean, where this comes from is that they can see my mom hiding in her room, and my mom's manic depressive, and just getting glimpses of what my childhood might have been like. And so I'll reiterate to them that I didn't want to be like that. And so for her to actually recognize that, I see that when we have those conversations and we're open with them, they start to show us both the good and the bad. But when we put those together, we know that we're doing the best we can, and we just keep nurturing that. And we come to things like this festival and festival, I keep using that word, this summit, to see things differently and to just get new ideas on how to do this, but also to hear stories that we're not alone, that we can be seen, heard, and witnessed. And that really is the key, is Marie sharing that story and getting out there, me sharing my story and showing that we're getting nods right now that we're not alone in this. Like, something similar is triggered in someone else right now. And the more we share these, the more we realize that we're doing the best we can, and we're supporting each other, rather than trying to say, well, Marie, you should have done this. She did what she needed to do in that moment. It was so beautiful to hear that story. We're not here to fix each other. We're here to see and witness each other. And I think that's what we're so used to. Like, what are we going to say next? It's more like, how can I just sit there and put out my hand and hold your hand for a little while and just listen to your story? I don't need to say anything. I just need to be with you. And the same thing with our kids is the best thing to do is just close your mouth when they're talking and let them keep talking. And then ask them, do you want my help? Do you want me to talk to that parent? What do you want from me? And then I'll tell you, the middle one half the time was like, Mom, I'm done now. You can go, and dismisses me. And I think that's what it really comes down to, is just how we do it a little bit differently than our parents did, because we're learning and we're coming to these summits and getting new ideas and implementing what feels right here, not what may work for everyone, but just make sure that it feels right. That sounds like a good idea to me. Write that one down. You don't need to take it all in. Take down the things that sound right to you. And I think that's how we do mothering better, or not even the word better, but the best we can to our ability.
Yeah, so I agree with Michelle. If you could just let go of, because there was a time when not only was I controlling of my children, and it was all in loving ways, that I didn't want them to make mistakes and then have consequences. So I thought it was better if I created the consequences. So there were a lot of penalties for doing things wrong. But what I'm remembering is that it got to a point where if my children were going to get in trouble or got in trouble, I would step in. And then they would complain to me about it, that they, why they're in trouble. And I would step in without them asking. And then I realized they stopped telling me what they were disappointed with, because it was embarrassing for them to have to deal with whatever I started, So that was something I noticed, that was more like in junior high school and high school. But I started recognizing I'd step in too soon because I cared. I didn't want anyone to treat my kids bad. But the other thing that I recognized while Marie was speaking is that something I learned in energy medicine and also in coaching is that the universe doesn't listen to our intention, it listens to our attention. And so I believe, as strongly as I felt like I did not want to be like my dad, I don't know when that got in me. I know I didn't think it every day. I didn't think it while I was raising my kids, but at some point that energy got in me, and I was like a magnet for everything that could create my dad in me. And so, that's what I was hearing when you were saying you knew you didn't want to be your mom, but I don't know where that feeling got in you that generated a vibration that put you in alignment with the very thing, but it's also the very lesson that you need to learn. Every one of these things that you're speaking of that I did wrong, it was meant to be a lesson. Magda's talking about her son's not speaking to her now. I've had many times where my kids, even my daughter, who didn't speak to me for a year, but for that whole year, I did everything I could to become the thing that doesn't have this relationship. I knew from being focused on the wrong thing that I could create more of the wrong thing. And I created some of the most beautiful moments from, even if it took a year to do it. I didn't try to make it better. I just knew that no matter what, I would be this person, no matter what. I didn't let any incident change who I was. Today, I don't let any incident change who I am. And it makes a huge difference in the energy that you will attract with your situations and conditions that you have with your kids. So just don't stay focused on what you don't want. That's my advice because you will get more of that. So
I just wanted to add one other thing before you speak, Shika. You also need to understand, like, as a mother, we're going to see things a little bit differently, but that stop and that push and that's enough. Like that energy there. Oh, beautiful. I know when I was working in a kindy, we had a particularly violent child. Like he would kick, scream, throw things at everybody. And what had happened was he was throwing things, and I picked this kid up, and as I picked this kid up, he scratched me, drawing blood across my face. And my natural instinct was to, like, my hand came up like, no, you can't do that. I wanted to protect myself. And that's what we have to remember, that in those moments of the hitting and pushing and the response, the reflective actions, is that it is a form of self-protection. So that you're in my space, just oh, I can't deal with you, we have to respect that as well, as like, even though they're our children, they still need to understand we have boundaries as well. And with those boundaries, we often don't set them for our kids and say, no, this is actually my space, and no, you can't put your hands down my shirt, or whatever it is that kids feel that they need to do all the time, that touching and in the space. And it is definitely something that I've noticed working in schools too, is a lot of kids want to touch and they want to feel, and it's like, oh, hang on a sec, boundaries. We need to respect that as well. So I just wanted to put that in there because, like, as I haven't had that experience with my kids as much, but I've definitely had that with like kids in the kindy and the daycare setting, where the behaviors and that automatic response to want to protect yourself. And in that circumstance, I couldn't do anything. It wasn't my child, so I couldn't even discipline. I literally had to step back and go, what rights do I have in this situation to protect myself against this child? I had to continue to do my job and calm him down. And I was like, actually, I can't. And I had to get somebody else to step in. So I can't deal with that child because I'm emotionally irregulated because of what has happened. So it is remembering that too. Like, we can put a certain level of guilt on ourselves as a parent because it's our child. And we relinquish some of that behavior because, no, she did cross a boundary. And yes, she is a child, but in that, she recognized that, and that's why she apologized. So there is a beauty in releasing that and talking about it, like we all said.
Yeah. And I think the talking about it when the emotions are calming down is the best place. I know as parents, sometimes we just want to fix it now, but when we look at the brain science, you're in your amygdala, the fight, flight, freeze response, you're in your sympathetic. So allowing that spaciousness to walk away, to just hold them, hug, cry with them, be with them, and then talk about it when your bodies are calm. That's where a lot of the magic happens. And I think sometimes we as parents do talk too much, and they just don't need the things that we think they need. And I'm going to pass it over to beautiful Lena to add her insights to the threads of this beautiful conversation.
Thank you for all the things everyone said, and it wraps in perfectly with, I was considering the word boundaries when we were talking about the topic. And when I contemplated that, all of a sudden the word trust came up. And I thought to myself, like, how do you take the word boundary? Because that feels kind of, limiting, and you're setting something, and it, keeps something out. And at the same time, this word trust keeps reappearing in my mind. And I understood that first question, and I think it was Marie, you mentioned it. It starts with you. Like, do I trust myself to know where my boundaries are? Because boundaries are not there to keep other people from doing things or to get other people to do things. Boundaries are there as a plan of what I will do in response to someone else crossing something that I've predetermined, right? And you get that idea of emotional regulation and getting your nervous system on track. And if you work on that just a tiny bit ahead of time and make a plan on, if there is a physical altercation, like Felicia you were talking about, if something happens, you've thought it through and you have some kind of a plan of where it's going, right? And when you have that trust in yourself, you have that deep security that you can handle anything that comes out. And that's what I want. I want that deep security that it doesn't, like, if it's autism, if it's cancer, if it's a house get hit by lightning and it's completely destroyed, that also happened, that I have this deep security in knowing that I can trust myself to respond. Right? So that's I wanted to add that because everybody thinks of boundaries as this limiting thing. And it is, there's so much more to it than limitations or controlling other people. It is it's beautiful when you see it from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful, powerful insights there. I know I think Shika would like to speak next, and then Magda on this thread. But yeah, that piece around trust and trusting your body. And it's interesting that story I shared. My daughter doesn't have tantrums like that anymore. Obviously, because she's grown, she's also building trust in her emotions and how we then navigate together as a family. And I think all of these pieces are really important for people to hear. So we'll go Shika and then Magda.
Again, I have a little story. I don't know how many stories I'm collecting, but I like stories because it makes the point clear. So I was, so of course, when you sit down and I personally feel that I generally don't take PTM meetings very seriously because I take the confidence that I think I know where my child is lacking, and so I don't put the pressure that the school is trying to put on me that this is what he's lacking and this is what he doesn't have. Not to underestimate the teachers, but I just feel I take those feedbacks when the teacher is assessed for 10 minutes, the child, and then told you that this child cannot do this or does not do this or whatever, and he's in an older class. But this time, the PTM, Rohit ended up taking the PTM meetings with all the subjects. You're like, let's sit and take the PTM meeting seriously and take all the subjects teachers. And then he exits from the scene because the younger one has to be dealt with. Okay, I'm listening. First teacher comes, says handwriting is bad. Second teacher comes, says amazingly participative, handwriting is bad. Third teacher comes in, amazingly participative, handwriting is bad. I know handwriting is very bad. Fourth teacher comes, handwriting is very bad. I'm like, so what the common thing is handwriting is very bad, very participative. Of course, one of them thought participative was being very naughty. So I just discarded that. I was like, okay, majority says participative, handwriting is bad. So now as a mother, the thing is now, how do I fix handwriting? You know, oh my God, what did I do? 11-year-old can't write because he's an auditory learner. I'll always recognized it. Okay, I go to him and I'm like, okay, this time you do your assignment and then do that assignment in the most creative way because he's a creative child. Do it in the most creative way possible and give your best in the creation of this assignment. Well, I did my best saying what I could say. The answer I got was, you have no idea what my creativity is. I've always been writing in a creative way. And I'm like, all right, I got that. So now you sit down and you hear and it's like, why, he's right. I mean, he's always been writing in a creative way and I have no idea what his creativity is. So sometimes we think our children don't know what they're doing, but they actually know what they're doing, and that is how he wants to write. So now I've started telling him, can you write like the world writes? And he keeps laughing at it. I'm like, can you write like the world writes just because so that people can hear it? I mean, can read when you give an exam what you're writing. And then you can write in a creative way in your personal diary or whatever. Because he always has a drawing next to it. And his words are called dented words, but they are not dented for him. They just call him a very dented handwriting. But there's a bird coming out and there's something coming out and everything is like happening. So you know as I said, that every day there's a learning and it comes out from their mouth and it's yours to receive, and then sit down and think that what did I just learn from that. And at the same time, I also wanted to talk about the fact that the mothers take pressure. I get a lot of pressure from the world outside that you love too much, and I don't think there's anything called loving too much. And here comes, so the fact that a child is not, I'm not going to, because he's here, a child is not social is because you love too much. And it's, you have to push, you have to leave, you have to make them strong because you love too much, and it's the attachment to you that's not allowing, you're not weaning off. I'm like, he's going to wean off one day, someday. You're not going to be like this sitting in my calls every time. Could be no, not at 3, not at 5, maybe at 8. So these are the two little stories I wanted to tell about the creative, because I just learned a lesson last week about the bad handwriting was actually a good one and a creative one, and not a dented one. And we can all laugh about it and just correct our course as a mother and say, okay, write like that, but maybe you can write in the exam like the world writes, which is a very odd thing to say. But that's what he's working for him, rather than telling him write neatly, because he is according to him, not according to the world. So I wanted to let you know that.
All right, I was hearing to all of your story and they are so inspiring. So I don't even know where to start. So let's start. First of all, Donna, she addressed something what is very close to my heart. I didn't want to become like my father, and there's a lot of traits in my personality which exactly are like my father. But the moment when I realized that when my son was in the middle school, and he wants to go to the end of the middle school party, and I didn't allow him to be to end of the party like everyone else. And that moment, it just hit me, oh my god, I am doing exactly what my father did to me, which completely doesn't make sense. So that was my moment of realization, and that shift completely my approach on my motherhood, because that moment I realized that I'm making the same mistakes. And my parents were very young parents, so obviously there was no maturity of any of kind. And I never know story of my parents. I never know the origin of how they met. I was always the person, the child who was in the way. That's how I feel. And I didn't want to raise my son like that. So I learn how to tell story him, how to share story, how to share with real me, the vulnerability with him. And that was the beginning of our beautiful relationship. However, when I was going through divorce, and this is, I think, is very important, and a lot of parents do that mistake, and it's despicable, using child as a tool in the divorce. This is despicable for me. And it was very hard seeing my ex-husband, by the way, he was then that of my child, he was using my child against me. That was the hardest part of my emotional intelligence, to let not interfere with that, not because I knew that I will do more harm and good. Seeing my child, being against of me. He was a young boy, so his mindset was really like a sponge. And unfortunately, I see the stuff he's doing right now resembles of my ex-husband. But standing, like Lina said, your own boundaries, you knowing what you stand for, I think is the biggest key to raising strong and emotionally intelligent children. And the rest of this is up to them, because we, as a mother, we only influence from one side. There is other people in our child worlds who influence them as well. And I forget about that.
Wow, that's an important piece to like finish off the big general chapter, and it's like this facet, and it is up to them, and we do the best we can to make them emotionally aware, to make decisions that they need to take ownership in. Good or bad is not a scale; it's a choice, it's a decision. Things enact out, and so like the message is here is like standing in your own truth, your own boundaries, your own wisdom, however that may look, and continuing to grow and just honor yourself. And I think that is really important. And we build that deeper awareness as we grow and mature as women as well, and step into that power and the impact that we then lead by with our examples, that our young people, children, young people, adults, future leaders of the world then get to notice, either consciously or subconsciously. Because sometimes those seeds might not pop up until maybe later when they have kids. And it's like, oh, I realized you did this for this. And even though it may feel like a lifetime, it's like, okay, it's interesting, even some of the validating things that come up years later. You're like, okay, yeah, I did make the right decision, or it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, but it's that kind of like, the impact that I had has had a ripple effect. And even this conversation is doing that as well, which I think is really, really powerful. And I'd love to just allow us 30 seconds each to just share, I suppose, one tip for mums that are listening in, who are becoming aware, who are tuning into conversations like this, wanting to get advice. One thing that they can do, either for themselves or for their children, I'm going to keep it open, to bring, I suppose, more of that awareness or support or a strategy to just help them connect either with themselves or people like us. So I'm going to start with beautiful Michelle.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for arranging all this. And I love to leave with this idea of compliments because it really opens up connection and it trains our brain to really start thinking. So those compliments you have about the mom who has a really cute kid sitting there, or that compliment you have for your kid that you're not thinking about, get those out of your head and start sharing them with a random stranger. Start sharing them with your kids. It starts training your brain to really focus on the positive things you're seeing and bring smiles to each other. And that is what's going to create that connection between you and everyone around you, is really just bringing out the brightness in everyone that's in front of you and yourself. Don't forget to compliment yourself.
So powerful, and it's celebrating. Yes, love it. Going to go to Magda.
So thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. And my biggest things, what I would share with you guys, whatever it's Felicia, Marie, Lina, Michelle, Shika, Donna, don't forget who you are during your motherhood. Always leave space for yourself. I lost myself. I wasn't Magda anymore. I was just a mom, the shopper, the driver, anything else. And thanks God I found it when he was teenager. And I rebuilt myself. You're not just a mom. You are a woman, you are a wife, you have dreams, and don't forget about that. You didn't make this child by yourself. Allow other people to raise it too. World is not only on your shoulder. Don't forget who you are. Chase your dream. Because if you are happy, you are vital, your child will be as well.
So powerful. Amazing. Gorgeous Lena.
All right, so I'm going to do a really practical tip, and I have it all written down. So if you all want to grab your pencils, 3 things in order to make some decisions that are from this place of trusting yourself. I always say when I make small decision, 2 of those things have to be true that I'm about to tell you. If it's a big decision, all 3 have to be a yes. Number 1, does it align with my core values? Yes or no? Number 2, do I have capacity currently to say yes to this, whatever this is? Yes or no? And do I have excitement for this project? When I say yes to whatever this is, am I excited to say yes to? So if you look at those 3 things, core values, current capacity, excitement, every small thing you say yes to has to hit those 2. Every big thing you say yes to has to hit all 3. And if you continuously do that, then your confidence, your trust in yourself, and your ability to impact is going to multiply exponentially. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this.
Bless. Yeah. So powerful. Yeah. Oh, Donna, my goodness. What's your beautiful tips?
So my tip is to be the person that you want your child to be, no matter what. Be that person, because that's the only thing that's going to make the difference. You are the example, as you know, by knowing I was my mother in that moment, or I was my father in that moment, or I was. Don't you want to be the best person you can be so that your child can say, I was my mother at that moment? That's all I have to offer.
I love that. Flipping the switch.
Yeah.
And it's this piece around also like the richness of understanding the polar opposites and the contrast that we then get to bring into the treasures of our life. Oh, beautiful. Flea.
This one's easy. For me, it's always ask. Teach your children how to ask, how to seek clarity. Do it with them. So a lot of what we were talking about before, like actually ask them, like, what did you mean by that? What are you like? Dive deeper into that. Show them how you work through the processes of it. It's like, oh, I'm a little bit confused about whether or not I want to do this. Use the language. Show them that, okay, even adults get confused and have to work out the logical choices to then move forward in the direction that they want. That way they can start to ask those questions in conflict. They can start to ask those questions when it comes to their schooling, their education, their jobs, and so on in life. Always ask. We don't know unless we ask, and we can only assume that what we think is an assumption.
Amazing. And Shika, final tip.
I just want to say, but first I want to just thank everybody. Like always, since this creation of these mother stories has started, I just think the ripple effects and the conversations and the stuff that we're doing is very meaningful and very important. So thank you for showing up fully always whenever things happen, and just love everything that happened here. I think my only last statement to this particular conversation would be come back to love and restart from love. That's it. Like, just remind yourself to restart where love exists, and you can never go wrong. And no matter how much people can say that you you cannot love enough, there is never enough of love. Yeah, and especially for your children, you cannot love them enough, and do your, like, all the mistakes, all the stuff that you go through cycle, but come back and restart where love exists, and you will go back to the place of feeling better and thinking that you're doing better. In the end, what is better is again a very Arvid concept, but where your heart feels that you're doing absolutely the right thing, it's always have to come back and remind yourself, start where love exists. So that's what I can say. I think we can raise a better generation if we can keep coming back to love and reminding them that love is the solution, even if it sounds very odd, a very simple sentence, love is the solution, but that's where the solution lies. uh,
Mm.
and that's where the harmony and everything that we've been talking about since yesterday exists. So yeah, just go up all the fire and come back and come back and restart where the love exists, wherever love exists. That's what I want to say.
Oh, so beautiful. And ladies, you've said it all. And those that are listening in, please give some love hearts, write down some of those beautiful key tips, come and connect with these beautiful women, and we'll share their links later on today. But thank you, Lena, Michelle, Donna, and Magda for being guests with Shika, myself, and Felicia. We're going to just have a short couple minutes break, and we're going to join Michelle back for the next session. So, folks, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Hi, mamas. I've been grappling with the question, what does motherhood mean to me? When I sit with it and place it in my heart, it really comes down to the connections that we have with each other. It's about learning to have those connections, living in the connections, and loving those connections. And what do I mean by that? The first connection is connecting with yourself and really starting to understand what is your own genius and how do you become role models to your kids by living in that genius, inspiring them and showing them how to live in their own genius and not in the projection of what dreams and hopes you might have for them, because you're fulfilling your own dreams. And you do the same thing with your relationship with your spouse or whoever it is. For me, that really comes down to creating that family time and being in the present moment. It's hard when we have all these thoughts going through our heads, but it comes down to that connection that we have with each other and feeling that inside and creating more opportunities to have that. For instance, my daughter, I invited her as I'm doing a festival to come live with me this morning. She didn't feel like it. I left the room and I thought, why am I not spending the time with her that I normally would spend that 10 minutes in the morning? And so I went in there. She's like, Mom, you were just here. You asked. I was like, no, I just came in here to spend our time together doing whatever you want. She changed her smile. And as we were talking, we still ended up doing the live. But the point was that I didn't want to waste that time. Motherhood is really about taking all those precious moments together, putting them in here and keep picturing the ones that you want to keep creating. Loving your kids and loving yourself and your family as much as you can. At the end of the day, sitting in gratitude and celebrating yourself for the things that you did do today, not the things you didn't do. That is what motherhood means to me.
Hi, it's an honor to actually introduce Michelle. I've been closely working, talking, having conversations with her. So, Michelle, here it is, all about you. Absolutely amazing. It's an honor that I'm actually introducing you here. Michelle is a mama entrepreneur, speaker, author, and coach, as well as a contributing author to Voices of Women 2023 and the Parenting Owner's Manual, alongside her children, Liam and Bella and Lily. Lily is the third one.
She is.
She helps mothers discover their unique genius through grace and community. As the founder of Connecting Mamas and Mama Genius Hub podcast, Michelle inspires moms to create passionate, connected life that influences their children. Michelle, it's an honor to have you here, and what you're bringing to the world of mothers is absolutely amazing.
Well, it's always an honor to work with you. And when you tell me to do something, I'm like, I'm in, because I know together we create magic. And it really is just about supporting each other and creating that support that now fosters out and ripple effects to the moms out there so we can support each other together and start doing motherhood together, because it's a lot more fun.
Michelle, can you just talk a little bit about?
Well, hi, everyone. I'm Michelle, and DeKaiser, she could just introduce. And I'm going to share my screen right now because I haven't done a presentation in a while, but I thought I want to do things a little bit differently this time. And so let's do a little bit of slides today. So here we go. And we're going to ignite some genius today. So if you are here to ignite some genius inside of you and your kids, you are in the right spot. But the first thing that we need to do when we ignite genius is we need to first start by figuring out, where are we right now? We need to check in. And there's lots of different feelings on here, but let's just look at the colors. And so we just start, are we in red? Are we feeling really high emotions? We're feeling really high energy and that high, like low emotions. But then if we go to blue, we're feeling that low energy, that low emotions. And move over to the yellow, the green, whereas we're feeling pleasant emotions, but we're feeling low energy. And then the yellow is that high energy and high emotions. Right now, I'm a little bit nervous, excited, but I'm right in there between the green and the yellow, right? So this is from Mark Brackett. And I just want you to picture, where are you right now? Because everything starts with where you're at in the moment and then deciding where you want to be. So just take a moment, put your hand on your heart and say, I'm in this color right now. And if you're with me right now, go ahead and put that in the chat. And we're going to make this a little bit interactive today, because we're really going to dive into how do we find our genius and inspire our kids to do the same. And the first thing we do is we have to create a safe space. This is a place for us to share, a place for me to tell you some stories, and to really get into who we are. And by safe space, I really want you to take those words in and really bring them to yourselves and say, this is who I am. And to be honest with yourself through this presentation. That's where the safeness comes into play, is that we're doing this together. We're being a little bit vulnerable with each other so you can be vulnerable and hear from inside the heart. But I'm going to have to start by, because we always have to celebrate. It's time for you for showing up, and it's time to ignite the genius inside you and your kids. And I'm so excited to be here. So we always have to start with what is going to help us feel a little better. How can you not smile with this cute baby right here, right? The more we start to find little pockets of what we can do to change our mood, to change the feelings, because feelings only are there for a second, that we find the things that shift us. So really find those moments with our kids, with someone else's, and embracing that feeling, those emotions that come into play. And so I asked you that question by first making you smile, going, what is one thing you've always wanted to do? For me, I'm going to tell you, when I start my 40s, in my head, I had this idea that I want to create a business. Now, when I was thinking about that in the past, I was like, that's probably crazy. But something I've always wanted to do. What is just some weird, random thing, something that's always been on your heart to do? Start thinking about that. If you have paper in front of you and something jumps out at you, write that down. So what are you going to get from today, from being with me in this presentation? You're going to get my biggest secrets into unlocking the genius inside you and your kids. And if you stay till the very end, you're going to get a chance to get a free mini course in how to check in with yourself. By checking in, we go through curiosity, honesty, expectations, connection, keep listening, and intentional now. We'll start with curiosity today. I'm going to give you a clue. That's one of our C's already today. But to really start to unlock it and embrace it, I'm going to give this to you at the very end. And so who am I? I'm Michelle Kaiser, and I have been so passionate in creating a new business, but a business that is centered around moms. Why? Because I felt lost in motherhood. And so I want to make sure that you feel supported and have a place to do that. Some of the things about me is I love to travel. I spent a year traveling with my husband around the world before we had kids and spent 13 months doing that. I love to learn, which is why I'm an entrepreneur. And I love to create, which I was always nervous and held back for, but I want to create something that serves all moms. So my biggest focus right now is being present with you, because that's what I'm doing right now at the moment. So on that note, let's just take one deep breath together and enter the presence together. It always helps. Just momentary things I'm going to be doing throughout is just whichever one felt good to you, add that to your toolbox. If smiling was something, find ways to bring more smiles. Taking those deep breaths throughout when we feel that stress. And so now it's a little bit of story time for you. Why? I'm actually going to stop share for a moment. If I can get my mouse back. There we go. Where did this all come from? And for me, it's about two windows and a circle. And I want you to picture that I'm 9 months pregnant, and I'm actually in front of the window right now that I'm looking out right now as we speak. And what I can see across the street is all the neighbors coming. They got their plates, they're having a potluck, they're laughing, they're smiling, they're cheering. And I'm sitting here looking outside the window, rubbing my 9-month belly, crying my eyes out, because I knew I wasn't invited. I was trying so hard to fit in with the women in the neighborhood, and I just felt so left out. And we had just celebrated the year before someone having their third baby and had a huge baby shower for them. I was invited to that. But I sit here now wondering, why wasn't I invited? And I'm sitting there feeling sorry for myself, just wanting to be there, wanting to belong with them. And I'm just sitting going, why can't I just be grateful for what I have? And so I want to say right there at that moment, that was that pivotal moment that changed everything. But no, I still try to fit in some more, which takes me back to that same window about a year later. It was Halloween. And every year we try to have a big neighborhood party or something. And that year I decided to host it because I wanted to try to make those connections and try to do something. And so I literally had probably 70 people in my driveway right then and there, right? But I found myself in front of that same window again, looking down at my party, crying, going, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like I belong with them. I want something different. I don't want to be in these situations where I'm trying so hard that my body hurts and my stomach's in knots and I don't want to do this. But that's how I felt at that moment. And I was like, this doesn't feel right either, which leads me to the circle. I went down a route of trying to take personal development and doing these things, and I had a vision. Excuse me for a second. I I had a vision of sitting one day in meditation and almost calling the word circles of grace just circled in my head. And I just pictured this going, what does that even mean? I had no idea. But the moment it was for me wanting to matchmake moms and have these communities where we would do, grab a sip of water, where we would do circle work together and talk about our feelings and emotions, but we'd also do play dates and we do family things. And you know what? I found it. And I create my own circle. And it was great at first. We were doing all the things I thought I did, except the Facebook chat, right? When you have a lot of people in there, I start comparing in there. Well, my child's sick. They're not being as nice about what was happening to my situation as they're really loving up this person. They're not doing that to me. And that comparison started to come up again. And eventually those feelings just like, this is too much. My body kept repulsing all of this. I know I was trying so hard to belong. And I thought it was everything that I wanted. But it was almost like jumping in the deep end of belonging into a swimming pool that I couldn't swim in. I had no idea how to belong anymore, how to even do these things. And so eventually I had to remove myself from that group, from this group that I'd created that was based on also my business principles where I'm trying to grow this new company and create this. And I was like, what do I do now? And that's where I was like, this doesn't feel right. This still isn't the right thing. And so what that did, I'm going to share a screen for a moment. I'll take you through some of the pictures that I skipped over as I want to just share with you. So, oops, went the wrong way. This was me going through the personal development of really going down the 75 hard and really going through. And it was during this phase that is where I had that meditation. And then this is the circle that I had created that I just mentioned. But I had to learn the hard way that the real true belonging is to yourself. You have to figure out the things that you want and the things that make you happy before you can belong to other people. And so this is where I came upon Dr. Boleyn's The Million Circle. And it was in 2010 that at a Vancouver Peace Summit, the Dalai Lama said, the world will be saved by the Western woman. The way she interpreted this was to be through these million circles, a metaphorical number, but as women gathering in a circle through principles, through ways of communication. And so I took that to heart to create circles in a different way. And I went to create them virtually to start that sense of belonging without being in the deep end of the swimming pool. And so this is what the new Circle of Grace in a way looks like, what a virtual circle on Zoom can look like, and the type of connection that you can have in 1 hour and the things, and learning that process of how to connect again and how we do those things is what led me on this mission. And so that's where I bring to you about listening. When you talk, you're only repeating what you already know. But when you listen, you may learn something new. And that's what this talk is all about, is learning something new and having that conversation. We're going to keep moving forward. So this is the start of where we go into. If you have a piece of paper, a pen, this is where we're going to start taking a few things down. Where do we find our genius? Our genius is already there. The problem is that we might have put so many layers on top of it, we have no clue what it is anymore. We don't know what we're good at, what we like, or any of that because we're so lost in the busyness of what's going on. And so the baseline right now, which you can't see right now, is acknowledging where you are right now. Just like we start with checking in with where we're feeling right now, acknowledging, do you feel lost in who you are? Do you know what you want? Just start to answer those questions of where are you right now? Is there something you're desiring that you're not letting yourself have? That's where we start, is figuring out where we are right now. What feels like what we want to go. So I did a survey result, about 100 different women, and these were some of the feelings that came up. So some of these might be where you are right now. If they are, take note of them. I'm probably the most disconnected to mom and other human beings that I ever have been. I just was like, whoa, I felt like that at one point. I don't know if that hits you right now. That I'm so tired of judgment and no support and no positivity. I know that when I was in groups with women, it was always like, who can complain more? Who can tell me what's wrong with their husband or what their kids are doing? And it felt like this complaint fest. And I felt myself trying to figure out, I had nothing I want to complain about, but I felt myself digging through my brain, trying to belong. Not afraid to call me out when you want someone who's not afraid to call you out when you're not living to your potential. But a lot of times people aren't willing to do that. Acknowledging some of the same struggles and difficulties. Acknowledgement versus living them and going through those cycles are different aspects. And a lot of people, you might not feel that ongoing support or encouragement and active listening. Instead, people are trying to fix you. So some of these things might be where you are right now. Women tend to put themselves low on the priority list, and it's hard to connect with other moms when everyone's putting everyone else first, right? Have you felt that where you try to make plans with a friend and they blow it off or it just never happens? Has that happened to you? So right now, you just want to get some ideas from this survey of where your baseline might be. What are some of the things that struck you right now to where you might be at this moment in time? I love Brene Brown. She always says, I can't be myself when I know when I'm with people who recognize the inextricable, unable spiritual connection that is shared humanity, because belonging is not in jeopardy. How many times are you in the room when you feel like your belonging is in jeopardy? Me standing in front of the window, looking over my party of 70 people, I felt like I couldn't do it right. I should be at this party, but I didn't feel comfortable being there. Have you felt like that? And so when we go to our kids, what do these feelings invoke in you? So we're looking at ourselves, and now we're moving that over to also to our relationship with our kids as we merge these two together to figure out these genius. For me, this kind of invokes the feelings of, yeah, I could see myself doing that to my son a lot. And that didn't make me feel good as a mom. That I kept trying to figure out what his belonging should be versus what mine was. And so here's my oldest right now. We've done different things together since this. We even got our black belts together. This is us doing Qigong, which we haven't done in a while, but we were doing it for steady for quite a while. And this is him coming into his genius, figuring out that he likes theater, that he actually is a really great salesman. And they just, this season, actually in Boy Scout sales, the three of my kids are up to $300 worth of selling popcorn already. And they still have 2 more weekends left. And this is him becoming a published author and us being able to go to Tanzania together and serve in schools and him gardening and traveling. Again, is about looking at the things that we are good at when we stop focusing on all the negative. So the fact that he wasn't making a lot of friends or the things that he's struggling in reading, helping those things along the way, but really focusing on the things that he is good at. We need to do the same thing with ourselves as well. So here's some adventure time of us having some fun together. This comes down to the genius zones. Okay, I know I'm getting close to running out of time, so we're going to speed through this. But the genius part right here is there are 4 zones. There's the genius, excellence, incompetence, and competence. When you're in the genius zone, you're doing the things that really work for you. So we're going to go into a work right now. What is one thing you've always wanted to do but haven't pursued it, and list the reasons why? One thing that you haven't done yet. That's where we start, because we're going to start with how do we connect? We're going to start with curiosity. We need to open our curiosity to the things that we are doing. And so where does that start? With that 3-year-old who asked 100 questions. By the time they're 25, they're asking 2% outside the box, right? We stop asking questions. Now as an adult, you need to start getting back into your curiosity and asking those questions. And so we start with first with enlisting that curiosity by asking ourselves, what is one thing that we've enjoyed today? And if you haven't done anything you need to enjoy today, that's where you start setting it up to what's one thing I plan to do and when am I going to do that tomorrow? What happens when we feel stuck? That's when we pick one activity for 10 minutes a day that you enjoy. And what is that going to do? That's going to start to activate I'm sorry, the slides are a little bit off today. That's going to start to activate your RAS system, which is a reticular activating system. Just like that new thing when you get the new car, that's what's going to be interacting in you is when you start asking yourself, what do I enjoy? That's going to lead us to, all right, we're going to get rid of slides because I know I'm running out of time. And we're going to do the old-fashioned way. So as soon as I get my mouse back, stop share. All right. Number 2 is that we have to then connect. I talked to you a lot about the ways that we can connect with ourselves, but what we're really going to do is start to ask ourselves, what are the things we actually enjoy doing? And when I talked about the circles and the way we listen to each other, it's really setting in that intention of listening. Okay. And setting that intention when you're listening to your kids is to close your mouth and really pay attention to what they are saying to you. Stop worrying about trying to fix it or do any of those things. Listen to them and then repeat back to make sure that you understood them. And that's what we really want to be as witnesses, as humans, is to really be seen, heard, and witnessed by another human being. And so we need to do the same thing with our kids. We need to start teaching them that process of listening. And so for me, when I create that circle, when I start doing those virtual circles, I really start to learn that process of how to do that. And so it's part of what I also show is how to create those principles, how to do those things so you can create those for yourself. But it really comes down to really listening and acknowledging who you are. And lastly, the one thing that we don't do enough, and I think I maybe, give me 1 second. If I can bring up let's see. What do you think is the one thing that we don't do enough for ourselves? I'm going to be able to share screen again because we're up to number 3. And the one thing that we always forget to do at the end of the day is celebrate ourselves. We forget to celebrate ourselves in what we are doing. And so what I mean is looking at the things that we're actually doing that we enjoy, that we're doing well, and start with those. When we start focusing on the things that we're good at and celebrating them in your kids, my daughter just came in right before the presentation to show me some of the blocks she was building, and celebrating those little things with them and showing them that you're paying attention, that you care, and that you love them. But you need to also do it for yourself. So we're going to put our hands up and say, celebrating because you are paying attention right now. And right now we got, number 1 was exploring your curiosity. Number 2 was the connection. And then when we go into celebration, at the end of the day, you are no longer having your to-do list. Your to-do list is done. At the end of the day, you have a done list. I can connect. I have an action step. I have a done list. I celebrate. So right now, your action step should be, what is one thing that I'm going to do tomorrow that I'm going to enjoy for 10 minutes? And what time of day are you going to do that? Are you going to do it first thing in the morning? I know first thing in the morning that tomorrow I'm going to be meditating because that is a thing that brings me into my morning and really gets me centered, something that I can do for myself before I look at my phone and do all those things. So what's that one thing for you that you're going to do? And so the biggest secrets to really unlock the genius inside of you is first be curious again. Get your kids curious. Go play with your kids and see through their eyes how to be curious again. Number 2, start on those connections. Start the true listening also to your body. I had to listen to my body when it was shaking at me saying that this situation isn't right for you. Now the people that I'm connecting with, I can feel those deep connections. I can feel the deep conversations. And I'm no longer in that position where I feel like I need to find complaints in my head because those aren't the conversations I'm having. Yes, struggles do come up. We have fears. We go through those things, but we're not living in them. We're working towards how to get past them, how to walk through that fear. So what kind of conversations, what people do you want around yourself? And how do you want to treat yourself? Are you treating yourself like that friend? And lastly, we need to celebrate ourselves for what we've done today, and then celebrate our kids for the things that they are doing, not what we hope that they're doing, the things that school says they should be doing. What are your kids doing that you can celebrate? Start doing that daily. That is what's going to really unlock your genius, because all the other things of the shoulds and what school says we should do and all that is what's blocking us from what's already inside. And so I promised you all free access to the check-in process. This QR code will take you into the Be Connected group, where this free group where this course lives. And so please join me in doing that. And again, just as we check in, we need to get in the process of asking, how am I feeling? Where am I at now? And then it's time to unlock your genius. And the best part about motherhood is when we start doing it together and really celebrating with each other. And doing it together is so much more fun. And we find the people that are fitting for us to share our genius with. When you know that you're doing the things that are really bringing you joy, that is, I wish my mouse would work. That is when we're unlocking our genius. So remember, curiosity, connection, and celebrate. So Shika's here to celebrate with me because you guys all made it through.
Yes, and I the to do list, when I was talking about to do list, I thought that celebration is what I'm going to choose. The one thing that I'm going to do is celebrate, because I think I celebrate lesser than I should, because I
Oh,
forget. Like, it's a very common thing. You just forget that you need to celebrate as well and pause. And just listening to your son's journey and watching him through Tanzania and other things, and seeing your children come in and seeing your journey, Michelle, it's absolutely amazing what you can provide. The kind of love that I was talking about in the earlier panel is that always coming back to love and starting, and that's really defines you and your work. Let's also tell people about your festival that's also is going on simultaneously with the Mom Summit, and it's a longer festival celebrating women and their voices and mothers specifically. Would you just like to quickly talk about that and invite people, and then we can wrap it up with that.
well, the Mama Genius Festival is a 17-day long celebration of motherhood, and it's really bringing. I think we're up to about 50 speakers right now, so it's bringing them in a different format where we're just live inside the Facebook group. So all you need to do is come to mamageniushub.com/festival 2024, and it'll put your email address and it'll take you right to the Facebook group and everything. And everything lives inside of there, so the replays, everything in there. And come, you want to interact, because my whole thing is let's do motherhood together. Let's work out the struggles. Let's not live in them, but let's share them and let's be part of it, and really to unlock those layers, because each one of us has that genius inside of us. Each one of our kids has a genius inside of us. It's about really seeing it and how to celebrate it with each other and to really live in that genius zone. Because when we're living in our genius zone and we're excited about the things that we do, that's what makes all the difference. I can tell you that I was so tired before coming on here, because it's 9 o'clock my time at night. But when I'm in the zone and I'm doing the thing that I'm supposed to do, like the weakness goes away, and I probably won't be able to sleep for a little while because the energy comes up. And I think that's what the genius zone is all about, when you're in that energy. So if you're struggling with that, it's time to release the layers, unlock it, and join us.
Yeah, and also connect, reach out, connect, do more of this, and that's what this whole summit and that's what the festival is all about. And whatever you create, Michelle, thank you so much for standing up in your genius and then inspiring others to be in their genius, and really doing your best to bring so much to the world of mothers. More power to you, and supporting you through and through. Whenever, whatever you do, I really believe in what you really do. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for having me on here today. It's been such a pleasure. And my brain is just, when all of a sudden I was like, Flea and and Marie, thank you so much. My brain just went berserk for a minute. But that's what happens with mothers, right? We have those momentary things, but it's what do we do after it happens? And after we do things with, like, if we yell at our kids or something, those things are going to happen, but it's what do you do in response to that? Do you apologize to your kids? Do you explain to them? Those are the magic moments. Those are the moments where we become our better selves. Is the after effects, and that's what I keep trying to tell my almost 14-year-old who wants to yell at me every day. But it's how we have those conversations. And so thank you so much, and thank you,
Thank you.
Shika, for having me on here.
Yes, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.